and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Parish Construction and Roofing.
This is Coach Kim Mulkey. Go to parishbuilt.com for all of your roofing needs.
From your hometown, parishbuilt.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Wall-to-wall TVs mean you'll see every touchdown in HD. Place your bets and feel the thrill of every play with our DraftKings Sportsbook. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
When you can't rely on technology, you can rely on Mountain Cold Refreshment.
Dave's back on.
Coors Light. Choose chill.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
Is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. The Cleveland Browns don't plan to trade defensive end Myles Garrett, but today Garrett issues a statement saying he wants to play elsewhere. ESPN's Adam Schefter.
This is not a surprise to the Browns. The Browns knew about his unhappiness. I think they've asked around, they've prepared for it. They've gotten some opinions about how to best handle this situation, knowing that it could be coming. And I think that they are dug in.
Adam Schefter on the Pat McAfee Show. Garrett was the #1 overall pick by the Browns back in 2017. Commanders owner Josh Harris says the team will keep its 3-year-old nickname. Harris says after their success this season, the Commanders name now means something. Washington won 12 games in the regular season and then 2 road playoff games before getting knocked out by the Eagles. Florida State basketball coach Leonard Hamilton will step down at the end of the season after 23 years with the Seminoles. He's the #1 winningest coach in school history. He is being sued by several former players for not fulfilling NIL agreements.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy, coming up Tuesday as we head towards the big game. I'll tell you who my top 5 non-quarterbacks are in Super Bowl 59. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio.
Let's ride! Go! And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR presented by Relief Windows. We are live from Radio Row. It's Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans, kicking off day 1 of Super Bowl week. Super Bowl 59 will be the Chiefs and the Eagles Sunday from the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. It's not even that anymore. It's Caesars Superdome. How about that? They changed the name. Got a ton to do today and glad to have you hanging out with us here. Let us begin as we do every single day.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
One of the great things about coming to any event like this, if it's SEC Media Days, if it's Jake and T-Bob going to the Senior Bowl or being here at the Super Bowl, is you never quite know what you have planned or who you might bump into. And just a bit ago, Saints kicker Blake Grupe was just walking around in a laundromat and said, "Hey, will you come on radio?" He was like, "Yup." So here's Blake Grupe. What up, man? How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. I thought I was hiding and blending in from you guys, but hey, you guys found me.
There, if you weren't – all right, so everybody knows you're a diminutive feat, right? I'm like – what was the gig like, the security guard at the Dome?
Yeah, can't make that up. Yeah,
right.
I tried to walk on the field for preseason 1 my rookie year, and in the guy's defense, I didn't have on like branded, Saint stuff, and I just had my street clothes I walked into the game with, and just like in college, you go walk the field just like you do. Yeah, that didn't work out so well. He tapped me on the shoulder, grabbed me, making sure, asked me for credentials, the whole deal, and then I hit a game winner that game. So that's just how it goes, I guess.
Wait, so, in that moment, like, what did you tell him, like, I'm the kicker, and then what did you say?
Yeah, I just, I'm always a respectful guy, but in that moment before my first, NFL action at all, I might have had a little attitude like, hey, man, I'm a player. But it's awesome now. He's the same guy that's been there now for 2 years running. So every time we go out the tunnel, it's like a good little, hey, man, like, remember,
Yeah.
But no, he's an awesome guy. Yeah, he's an awesome guy.
What's his name?
Lloyd, I believe.
Shout out to Lloyd.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
And, yeah, he's a good dude right there. He had a knee surgery. He missed the last game last year, so maybe he's got a recovery road to the offseason. So.
Listen how attentive. That's so awesome, man. No, but I was just going to say, because, like, you could – there's some people that walk around here and will not blend in at all.
Mm-hmm.
You could, except for the fact that you're wearing your Saints gear. So, like, what are you doing? Just
Yeah, we're just bouncing around. That's what this whole event's about. Sharing the word and just talking. But this morning I had I got to do the coin toss at the second annual wheelchair football all-star game. So that was pretty neat. They partner along with Salute to Service in the league, and so they're a bunch of veterans that have had multiple problems, obviously from serving. And they were getting after it, like physical, hitting each other, falling out. I mean, it was live action over there, but they're getting after it.
I saw it when I got here to go get my credentials down like at J. The convention center. If you've never been to the convention center, it's
massive.
I mean, like you wonder like what. This is where my brain goes. Who conceptualized this? You know what we're going to do? We're going to build a long-ass building. That's what we're going to do. One that just goes on forever. What are you going to do in this building?
Around the
I don't
SEC.
know. Super Bowl Radio Row, wheelchair football, anything. I mean, but it's just incredible, how the scale of this place. So you've obviously had an eventful couple of years. I mean, I think most people know your story. Arkansas State to Notre Dame for a season, then you end up winning the job with the New Orleans Saints. But you live here now in New Orleans?
I do, yeah. Live right over there in Metairie, close to the facility. I didn't grow up a city boy, so I didn't plan on living anywhere. I liked having a backyard and a garage. So.
Yeah, man. Because players have you have the option. A lot of them will be here for the season, maybe have an apartment, then go home wherever home is in the off season. So what drew you to want to stay in the city?
Yeah, I mean, I'm from Missouri, Sedalia, Missouri, so kind of in between Columbia, which is, smack dab right in the middle, and Kansas City. And, I mean, it's kind of cold right now in Missouri. I'm from a smaller town, and so there's not a whole lot of training places. I utilize Mizzou. That's, want to go work out or want to go kick, you got to drive an hour, or, going the other way to Kansas City. So a lot more, access to training down here. The facility is literally right down the street. Warmer weather. I'm an outdoors guy. Like fishing, hunting. I've done all kinds of stuff down here that I, different critters than in Missouri. So
yeah, man.
Yeah, it's been fun. I enjoy it down here. Good weather, good golf. My girlfriend's from around here. She's from Morgan City, so it's been awesome. I really enjoy it down here, and I'd honestly really call it my home right now.
That's pretty cool, man. Yeah, I was sharing with you before we started that I did 1 year of penance in South Bend, as you did. Yep. Your year was probably way more eventful than mine. But I always tell people the football, the food, the women, and the weather is what brought me back to Louisiana. Yep. I bet you could corroborate that that probably plays. Mm-hmm. Yeah, those things there. Yep. But you did get snow here.
I did.
So you wake up and there's snow. Like for someone who's grown up in it and lived in it their whole life, and then experienced people that don't know it, what was it like?
Yeah, I mean, it was just snow, just like anything else. But for down here, that was a big deal.
Right, like
a big deal.
What about the people's reaction to the snow?
Yeah, it was insane. I saw that I think they hired some snow moving company from Indiana.
Did they really?
Yeah, I think the city did. They didn't buy trucks, so they hired a snowplow company. But I mean, my backyard, I want to say, was a good 8 to 10 inches.
Yeah.
That's a good snow no matter where you're at. So I took my girlfriend back there. We built a snowman. We were just walking around out there. She, I dressed her up in all hunting stuff and camo, keep her warm. But yeah, we were doing everything just like kids' first snow. It was really honestly pretty cool to help share. And I took her out. We drove a little bit. I will say I was on the roads, but I guess I knew a little bit what I was doing. But you had to watch out. They didn't plow the roads very well
No, man.
I know they're not used to it down here, but you had to pay attention.
There's no salt trucks and there's no snow plows. Like,
No?
it's a problem.
Yeah.
Like, there's no infrastructure for it, which is why everything shuts down.
Yeah.
Saints kicker Blake Grupe hanging out with us here, Radio Row, as we push off from the dock day one here at Super Bowl 59. You got to go to the Sugar Bowl, watch Notre Dame play against Georgia. What did you think about watching the Irish make their run to the championship game?
Yeah, it was awesome. The whole playoff environment has got to be awesome to be a part of and play in. You know, a lot more. I was there for Freeman's first year.
Right.
I transferred in as he took the head coaching job after BK, and so a lot of those coaches and players, you know, were maybe the young guys when I was there. But it's fun seeing them. You know, that's why you go to Notre Dame, is to, you know, play in those environments. And you know, it's been a little long since we've won a national championship, so I was hoping this year was the year. But, you know, playing in my city, I was able to get field passes, and, you know, Derek gave us – Derek was actually a really nice car. He gave us his suite for the game.
Oh, that's sweet.
So I had, old players that flew in, and Pete Warner's family actually is from Indianapolis area, so they were all committed to Notre Dame. And I guess he's actually was committed to Notre Dame for a little bit.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But yeah, we were right there. The athletic director's suite for Notre Dame was right next to us. Bon Jovi was over there. It was a party. It was really cool. But obviously, I had practice, so I wasn't able to get there till the second half. But you know, we had practice and we were preparing for Tampa. And you know, I guess I should probably go to midweek games more often. I had a pretty good game that game.
Hey, man, no doubt, man.
Yeah.
Strong season, of course, man. But there's just so much, obviously, turnover now with the new coach and all that's coming. But there was I'll ask you just for the record, like, there was the report today. It sounds like it's going to be Kellen Moore. I mean, do you guys talk about that, like, internally as team? I mean, you have no control over it whatsoever. So what are your conversations like with your teammate about the new coach?
Yeah, you know, I guess as a specialist, obviously we have a group chat, and it's, you know, me, Zach, Hayball, and Charlie as well. And, you know, we chat, we share stuff, but I always tell people, if you want to know what I know, check Twitter.
Yeah.
You know, it is out of our hands, and you know, I've always told myself up and down the ladder, just take care of business on the field, and you know, and they will off the field when it comes to that kind of stuff. So I really don't know a whole lot. I've never met Kellen, and I literally have no idea if he is the guy or not. But you know, I'm curious to see who comes in and you know, what work is to be done, what changes are to be made, and all I know is that, you know, I'm gonna keep my head down and make my kicks and be ready to work whenever my name's called, because, you know, that's ultimately all I can control.
What a couple more minutes here with Blake Grupe. What I know Alvin Kamara put out the tweet supporting Darren Rizzi. What was it like? I mean, he was special teams coach. So obviously, you worked with him. Like, he seems that, like, outside in. I don't know Darren Rizzi, like, but he seems like the guy, like, you'd want to just kick back and have a beer with and shoot the bull. Like, I mean, he kind of gives off that vibe. I mean, is it? What's your impressions of Darren? What was it like having him as your interim head coach?
Darren Rizzi's awesome. Obviously, AK is a believer in him. I am a believer in him as well. I just don't tweet about it because nobody really cares what I have to say. AK's voice is probably 10 times what mine is. But yeah, I mean, everything that AK, you know, believes and says, and in support for Darren Rizzi, I am in the same boat. He's an awesome guy. He's a leader. He's gonna fight for you just as much as, you know, he's gonna fight for you so much you're gonna want to fight for him even harder. And you know, I'd obviously love for him to become the head coach. I know that's out of my control, and you know, but just steering the ship to end the season this year, I think we would have had I think it would have been a lot different without having actually Coach Riz, because I mean, he just. The way guys fight for him and play for him and believe in him is unlike a lot of – I've had a lot of coaches, and, you know, Marcus Freeman that I had at Notre Dame is an awesome guy, awesome leader. He's a leader of men, and Darren Rizzi's pretty close to that.
Yeah.
You know, he's going to shoot you straight. He's going to push you in the right direction. He's really just he's gonna want you to succeed. He's going to show you that he's there to fight for you and push you just to become – he might be hard on you. You know, but he's gonna push you to be the best player that you can be. So, you know, I would love to see him honestly become the head coach. It's obviously out of my control, and like I said, I'm just gonna continue to, you know, work hard and you know, Riz was the one that gave me my opportunity here. So, Obviously, I'm going to be a believer in him, and I hope, whether he's our head coach or not, he's going to have a job somewhere. He's an A1 top-tier special teams coordinator. We've been top of the league in special teams for a long time when it comes to everything, and so he's been awesome. I really appreciate everything that he's done for me, and I really do hope that he somehow comes up with a job, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, that's I know it's well said. He there was a report over the weekend that if he doesn't end up with a job, Denver could be with Sean Payton, which I mean, isn't everybody going to Denver? I mean, are you going to end up in Denver potentially?
I don't know.
Maybe stick around here for a little while longer.
I hope so. I'd like to stay here.
Hey, you said just a second ago when you were talking about Notre Dame, you said we. You started your career at Arkansas State.
Oh, yeah.
DeMario Davis is also an Arkansas State guy. So if he was here and heard you say we about Notre Dame.
No, I do both. I think
is that allowed?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know.
NIL and portal era,
yeah.
I don't know what you do now.
Yeah, I was telling somebody earlier, when I entered the portal and did everything, I feel like I was like stage 1 of the portal, Now it is absolutely insane with everything that's going on. But, I did 5 years at Arkansas State. They gave me my one walk-on offer out of high school. They tested me and tried to get rid of me one year. They brought a guy on scholarship to take my job, and I didn't really give him a choice. I stuck around somehow. And so, I got my undergrad from there. I got my master's. I was in a fraternity there. I went back to the spring game last year.
Love it.
Honestly, I didn't get a degree from Notre Dame, and I did only play there a year. And they give me hell all the time for it. You know what I mean? Because,
Did you just do one semester?
I did a spring and a fall.
Okay.
So a full, literally a calendar year.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I say we just because I feel like I really do claim both. I 100% do. I have a DeMario Davis Arkansas State bobblehead in my locker. I don't think he likes it, but it's pretty funny. I went back to the spring game, and our media guy had it on his desk, and he had multiple. They gave him out at a game last year, a year before. And I said, I need one of those, and so he gave me one. So, I got a little DeMario in my locker. So, it's pretty funny there.
That's so good, man.
Yeah.
He's DeMario's going to be with us here, I think, on Wednesday.
Yeah. You'll have to ask him about the bobblehead. He probably don't pay no attention to it. I know he's seen it at least once. He just shook his head. So
I will definitely.
That's DeMario, though.
I am glad you brought that up because I will definitely ask him about the bobblehead. But he's just like he feels like just like an all-time great guy, great team.
Yeah, he is. He really is. When you look at a guy to be the soul, heart, and core of your team, you can't ask for much more than that. He does everything the right way. And he's serious, and I mean he's a pro.
Yeah,
there aren't many guys that are serious about everything as he is, and DeMario don't play around. He's a captain for a reason.
Blake Grupe, hey man, we've taken a bunch of your time. Appreciate you so much for hanging out with us here. Great way to start our week here at the Super Bowl Radio Row. I'm sure we'll see you bouncing around, man. But thank you for the time.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for having me.
Our pleasure. Continued success. That's Blake Grupe. It's after further review. We'll knock out our first break and continue. Stick around. It's AFR from Radio Row, presented by L'Auberge Baton Rouge.
AFR.
Brought to you by Duplessis Builders. DuplessisBuilders.net. DuplessisBuilders.net. Blake just showed me the bobblehead. That's so good, man. DuplessisBuilders.net. Hey, listen, if you're thinking of buying a pool, start with our friends over at Duplessis. One thing I would highly recommend you do, you've heard me talk about this a little bit, is go to the website, DuplessisBuilders.net. At the top of the homepage, you'll see our book. And it's a totally free download, and it is a great resource for the entire process of building a pool at your home. So if you want to learn more to educate yourself, you could do it. And Duplessis does that completely for free for everybody. DuplessisBuilders.net. Start at the website. You can see pictures and videos of their beautiful work and learn more about their process, where they are the only company that will give you a 10-year workmanship warranty when the industry standard is 1 year. One place, DuplessisBuilders.net.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief: our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values: committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Got chores that need some extra muscle, but a large piece of equipment is overkill? That's what John Deere compact utility tractors were made for. Powerful enough for the work you need to do. Compact enough for how you need to do it. Find the equipment that's right for you at Sunshine Quality Solutions. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and oh yeah, they also do interior shutters. Live from Super Bowl 59 Radio Row in New Orleans. Presented by L'Auberge Casino Hotel, Baton Rouge.
All right, thrilled to have you aboard with us here as we continue from Radio Row Super Bowl 59, presented by L'Auberge Baton Rouge. This is first time ever. I was thinking about this earlier. Our radio station, we made 15 years old at the end of last year. They're at the end of December, just a few months ago, and we've done some really, really cool things over the years. From broadcasting live at Lambeau in 2016, countless trips to Atlanta for SEC Championship, Peach Bowl, National Championship in New Orleans. Charles, Jimmy, and Derek back in the day went to Ireland and did a broadcast there. We were in Las Vegas for the USC game. I mean, I'm going through my head all the different places we've gone and broadcast over the years. The College World Series in Omaha. We've got to do some really, really cool stuff. This is a first for us being here at Radio Row for the Super Bowl, and in part because the Super Bowl hasn't been to New Orleans since 2012. The Ravens 49ers game back then, and the Saints haven't been in it, so we haven't really had a reason to travel to a Super Bowl and cover it. So, but doing so many Radio Row events like SEC Media Days and obviously Senior Bowl for Hester and T-Bob, you learn to be flexible and be fluid, because you just never know what's going to happen. But I'll tell you this, man, our setup here is pretty awesome. New Orleans has done a great job putting on this event, as you'd expect they would. We're here at the Montreal Convention Center, and it's in this grand exhibition hall where we are, and there's probably, and it's not exactly Radio Row, they call it Media Row, because in this room is where it's all media. It's traditional media like radio, TV stations have their own tables set up here as well. And then you have tons of new media, digital media. Like if you're watching on YouTube or WBTR, ESPN radio set up, their national broadcasts are directly behind us. So if you're watching, what you see behind me is the big set for ESPN radio. And immediately to my right is the Pat McAfee setup. It's just off our camera. But, I mean, Outkicks over there, Sirius is over there. It's just, I mean, it's CBS Sports is to my left. So we got a great spot here where we are in Radio Row, and we're excited. But as we understand, we'll probably start to see more of a ramp-up on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday as we get closer to the game. And if that's the case, that's going to be bonkers because this is already a massive event. And it's been pretty cool to be here to see this already. So we'll look forward to bringing this content. Make sure you're following us on all of our socials, at 1045 ESPN on Twitter, X, Instagram, Facebook, everywhere, TikTok. We'll have all our content throughout the week. Thanks to Blake Grupe for starting the show with us. The Super Bowl is here in New Orleans, and the New Orleans Saints could not avoid the news cycle here as the week begins. And Adam Schefter was a guest earlier today on the Pat McAfee show, and with one head coaching vacancy remaining, that, of course, being the New Orleans Saints vacancy, all eyes and attention are pointing toward Kellen Moore. And Adam Schefter today broke the news that I and many others thought we'd probably hear late last week, but I guess better late than never. Here was Schefter's report.
The head of the Saints organization, Mickey Loomis, is going to do everything in his power when it comes to this coaching hire to follow the rules and go by the book and not talk to Kellen Moore until after the Super Bowl. Could it break down and they not reach an agreement? Sure. Is that likely? No. Kellen Moore is going to have a chance to probably triple his salary, become a head coach, one of 32. And if the Saints were making any other move, whether it was hiring the Dolphins defensive coordinator Anthony Weaver or the Giants offensive coordinator Mike Kafka, or their own interim head coach, what are they waiting for? Why not go hire them right now? But they're not. They're waiting. Barring a setback, he's going to be the guy.
So there's the report from Schefter. Barring a setback, he's going to be the guy. Which, fine. That, and saying you're going to do everything by the books so you avoid tampering, and totally understand that. It's all things we talked about. That's not the report that we got from Schefter and others late last week. The report late last week, Tom Pelissero among them, was that Diana Rossini, who's here, by the way, was that the Saints had not made a decision. They had not informed any of the candidates they were out of the running, and that they wanted to talk to Moore again after the Super Bowl, so as to say that they weren't done with the interview process. So that's a very different report than what Schefter said today, which is the thing I thought we would hear late last week, because it's what happened last year with Clint Kubiak. So now the attention turns to Kellen Moore fully, and I think we all understand that now. And Schefter was also asked what types of setbacks could possibly occur at this point. Here's what he said.
Could there be a setback? Sure. There often are setbacks. Bill Belichick didn't wind up becoming the head coach of the Jets. Josh McDaniels didn't wind up becoming the head coach of the Colts. Liam Cohen didn't wind up becoming the coordinator of the Buccaneers. But barring any setbacks, we know where this is tracking, and we know where this is going. Let's not be oblivious to it.
So the question becomes, how do we feel about Kellen Moore? And whether this is right or wrong, I do think the result of the game on Sunday is going to be very indicative of what the fan reaction is going to be. For example, I don't know that Kellen Moore would have been a very popular name. May still not be. But I don't know that he was going to be a very popular name before the NFC Championship game. The Eagles put 55 on the board in the NFC Championship game. A day later, Kellen Moore emerges as, really that night, emerges as a guy the Saints want to talk to. They fly up and talk to him on Monday night into Tuesday morning. He's the front runner now, and I think people got pretty excited. If the Eagles go out on Sunday against the Chiefs and win the Super Bowl and that offense really cooks and hums, then I think we look up and we're probably a little more excited about Kellen Moore than we would have been, let's say, 10 to 14 days ago. But the point I'll make about Kellen Moore will continue to be, while I don't think he was the A-list number one guy, clearly Aaron Glenn was your number one, Joe Brady was right there as well, and you interviewed other candidates, the thing I wanted and I think a lot of people wanted was a young offensive-minded coach. This checks that box. Someone without ties to the organization prior. This checks that box, provided it does head that way and they get this across the finish line. And regardless, you still have to hire someone. So, like, you're going to hire a coach. It is interesting that Blake Grupe was sitting with us 10 minutes ago and said he would love for Darren Rizzi to be the guy. And I think that's a sentiment that a lot of Saints players share. But I also don't think you always default to what the players want to hire the popular candidate among the players. That often goes awry. There's part of me that looks at Darren Rizzi and says, could he be the culture builder in New Orleans the way Dan Campbell has been in Detroit? And I think there's some legitimacy to that. But I also look at anyone who's making that hire, and you're trying to minimize risk in that hire. And I don't know that I could definitively say that there's more risk with Darren Rizzi or Kellen Moore, probably less with Darren Rizzi, quite honestly, because you have an 8-game sample size of him as a head coach to know what that looks like. But we may not get that answer. But it sounds like, according to Schefter, the report many of us had anticipated hearing late last week is Kellen Moore will, in fact, be the guy after, barring a snag, after the Super Bowl. All right, it's After Further Review. We're brought to you by Evermore. I'll tell you, one mistake I made today before I left Baton Rouge. I didn't stop and grab a bottle of Evermore before I got here. So I am beholden to whatever crinkly bottle of wine. I'm grateful to be hydrated. There are those who are without. But I will be bringing my Evermore here tomorrow, EVAMOR. Find great retailers near you at evermore.com, or, of course, you can always order online, bulk, evermore.com, EVAMOR. Better form of hydration, a healthier alternative, a Louisiana product. Drink Evermore, EVAMOR, evermore.com. All right, y'all, it's After Further Review. We're here at Radio Row, presented by L'Auberge for a Super Bowl 59. Our Monday shows, as always, are brought to you by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Windows, door siding. Oh, yeah, they do shutters as well. Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. We got a ton still to get to. We'll go around the SEC in about 15 minutes from right now. We'll knock out a quick break. When we come back, a longtime friend of the show, Joe Lisi, does great work right now with Sirius, is going to jump aboard with us. We'll talk. Dude's from New York, but is a giant LSU fan. Honest to goodness, it's not feigned. Like, he's a real LSU fan from New York. So we'll talk some LSU. We'll also talk some Super Bowl 59 with Joe Lisi when we continue on AFR, presented by L'Auberge.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Rouse's.com, Rouse's.com. Rouse's, of course, y'all, as we roll through Carnival season, remember our friends over at Rouse's, they will bake more than 600,000 of those delicious Rouse's king cakes. Of course, you can pop into any Rouse's if you live in these parts, because they got 70 locations from Lake Charles to Orange Beach, Alabama, and points in between. But maybe you or a family member are no longer living in Louisiana. You can get a little taste of Carnival courtesy of Rouse's. Go to Rouse's.com, Rouse's.com. You can ship a Rouse's king cake anywhere in the lower 48. So just go to Rouse's.com. Pick your size, your flavor, whatever you want. They'll bake it up and ship it to you. It's Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. It's Carnival time. It's King Cake time. It's Super Bowl time. Make sure you get all your Super Bowl party fixins over at Rouse's. Rouse's.com. Rouse's, this feels like home.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you. Serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, Our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Got chores that need some extra muscle, but a large piece of equipment is overkill? That's what John Deere compact utility tractors were made for. Powerful enough for the work you need to do. Compact enough for how you need to do it. Find the equipment that's right for you at Sunshine Quality Solutions. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and oh yeah, they also do interior shutters. Live from Super Bowl 59 Radio Row in New Orleans. Presented by L'Auberge Casino Hotel Baton Rouge.
Rolling along here in hour number 1 and thrilled to have you. And, man, this is so good to catch up, man. Joe Lisi from Sports Grid, been a longtime friend of the show. Actually, our mutual friend, the late Carly McCord, introduced me and Joe back when Carly was producing the show. I mean, that's been a decade, Joe. But Joe's been so kind over the years to come on the show. And good to run into you here on Radio Row, man.
Oh, absolutely.
How are you, bro?
Love the show, and obviously bringing up Carly, just a great person, and been a long time since you and I spoke. But
I know, man.
Unbelievable.
It's hard to believe that's like it's been a decade since we've known each other, and obviously it's been 5 years since Carly passed. But that anniversary just passed in December. But love keeping her memory alive. We get the chance to do it every now and again, man. Yeah, she'd love this, no doubt.
Yeah.
Super Bowl, Radio Row, all this good stuff. I mean, I know this is old hat for you. I want to talk a little bit about the game, Super Bowl 59, all that stuff. But you're also, for those who don't remember, you're from New York, New Jersey, but you're like a legit LSU fan. For remind me, how did that happen?
So you grew up in New Jersey. You have Rutgers, which at the time had Tony Sacca, and that team was absolutely atrocious. So you grow up, and I played high school. I played D3 football at Gettysburg, and went to Don Bosco, which at the time was a rising power in terms of the big Power 5 that we say in New Jersey. And you either grow up loving teams or hating teams. So Penn State, yes, okay, yeah. Back in the day with Joe Paterno and some of the teams that he had. Obviously, I grew up, I'm 53, but Todd Blackledge and the real Kurt Warner and all those teams. And then you
Kurt
you
with
have,
a C.
You're right. You have an affinity to then hate teams, which is like Notre Dame, right?
Yeah,
Growing up and then playing high school football and wanting to play college at the time, you watch the SEC and you bleed and die with teams, Georgia, LSU. Grew up, I mean, Hodson, Tommy Hodson, and just those teams. Gary James, I mean, Dalton Hilliard was playing Notre Dame back growing up. You're like, hey, I want a piece of that. Death Valley, give me some of that, baby. Woo! And then, obviously, worked for ABC Sports. And I was, as I told you, I became the lead researcher with Terry Bowden and the late John Saunders in New York, working part-time. And at that time, then, you had the transition from Nick Saban in 2003 to then Les. And I grew and loved Justin Vincent. Yeah. And then, it just goes on. I can name, Jeff Wickersham.
Yeah,
and, let's go through all of the quarterbacks. I'm a Southerner stuck in a Northerner's body, baby. But I bleed SEC football, and I love those Tigers.
Hey, man, it's been with Brian Kelly an interesting 3 years, man, because, they came out to shoot. They beat Bama. They win the West year one. And of course, Jaden wins the Heisman in year 2, but the defense was so bad last year. And then this year, you kind of panned at 8-4. If I asked you before we look ahead to encapsulate 3 years from when Brian Kelly showed up to now, how would you define big picture what his time has been so far?
the good, the bad, and the ugly. And the reason why I say that is he comes in and he wins the West, right? He was a 40-1 shot to win the West in his first year. Harold Perkins, that dominating performance in Fayetteville and Arkansas. That game had me, I needed the oxygen. Last fourth quarter, you give up the touchdown. But that being said, I make the equivalent to Brian Dable in year one with New York. The worst thing that Brian Dable and that organization did was winning a playoff game with Daniel Jones as the starter. They give him the extension, and then it's go big or go home. You don't just go have one big marquee year in Baton Rouge and then expect to just regress. You can't win the West and then not make the college football playoff or challenge for an SEC championship in year number 2, even though you had the Heisman Trophy winner. You lose 3 games. The defense is absolutely atrocious. Okay, we'll give you a bad year, but then now to couple it with an 8-4 season last year when you had Nussmeier, you had Mason Taylor, you had Caden Durham that came in, and all of those playmakers. My favorite, Josh Williams, just a blue-collar running back, right?
Yeah, man.
I love all of those guys. We had everything that we could want from an offensive perspective to challenge for an SEC championship with the expanded 12-team playoff. We didn't get there, and quite, unfortunate, we played down to the level of competition. That game against South Carolina, you can make the argument those penalties, Lenora Sellers running all over our face. Yeah. I mean, and then to see the defense, the one I really got up when I saw that victory against Ole Miss, and I said that Blake Baker defense, they took over the game because Nuss was not 100%. Yeah. He was not 100%. Critical turnovers, but that defense allowed us the opportunity to pull that game out. And what happened? We regressed. Marcel Reed, 3 carries, 62 yards. I mean,
Don't remind me.
Come on. Coming out of half, too. Unbelievable.
But you're right about the Ole Miss game. I mean, Ole Miss didn't score in the second half or overtime. It was incredible how they came back. Then obviously in overtime, but not in the second half. Shut them out in the second half. Joe Lisi's with us from the Sports Grid. Real quick, and I will transition to the Super Bowl. Are you a believer in what LSU's done for 25 with the portal additions and everything?
I love what they did. Nick Anderson, and I told you Barrion Brown from Kentucky, underutilized because of the quarterback play with Vandegrift and his previous quarterback, Devin Leary, right? That people forget went from NC State. Yeah. He set the single-season record for passing touchdowns, surpassing Phillip Rivers, and then goes to Kentucky. He could barely throw for 13 touchdowns. So it's amazing. I think from an offensive wide receiver and just talent standpoint, we have everything in place. We're a 20-1 shot to potentially win the championship. Nussmeier has an 8-1 price to win a Heisman Trophy this year. It does rely on the defense. Happy that Harold Perkins is coming back. Yeah. I think everything is there, but it's make it or break it time. We need to knock down that door. Physicality from the offense and defensive lines at times was consistent, but towards the end of the season wasn't, and that's the concern. I think that Baylor game, if we play like that from an offensive perspective, I don't think there's anybody that could beat us next year.
I think do you think LSU? I think I saw the early line was Clemson maybe
2.5 point dogs. We're dogs in that game.
Do you, aside from that, is there a game maybe in Tuscaloosa where LSU would be an underdog?
Possibly, but again, I would still – I don't think so now. Knowing that Milrose moved on, it's Ty Simpson and obviously where Kalen DeBoer is. But again, Brian Kelly is a great coach, and he showed that in year number 1. Again, the progression. I need to see it from now year 3 to year 4, and that defense – showed signs, but I need to be consistent from the start of the year to the end. I think we're going to be there, though, Matt. I really do, offensively, and I'll take your – I saw your tweet. The second-year progression, Burrow, Daniels, from year 1 to year 2, you have me buying in on Nussmeier. There are times that I see Nuss force the ball into coverage last year. I said he's got a little Brett Favre in him, just a little, because sometimes he wants to make a play, but hopefully he'll mature with another year in the scheme. I think he's going to be just fine.
Super Bowl 59, Sunday in the Dome. Chiefs three-peat would be pretty incredible. Eagles look like probably the better team, top to bottom. Right. Would you agree with that?
But I say this, as long as 15 is under center, right, and this game comes down to the fourth quarter, 100 people surveyed, 100 will say, I want Pat Mahomes with the football. It's going to come down to 2 things. Can Kansas City run the football consistently? I don't know if they can, to which I think Pat needs to have a big day, 250, 275. He's averaged that over the past 6 games of the regular season, up until the game where they took off. He had 11 touchdowns, no interceptions. I think they're going to need to run the football to take some of the pressure off. That goes right into the strength of Philly's defense. They've been opportunistic, one of the best secondaries all year. It's going to be a tough game. I lean to Philadelphia, though, because of the completeness of the team. If Jalen is off, I still have Saquon. I still have those playmakers. And I do believe in that front seven a little bit more. Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith. I believe in that group a little bit more than I do KC. But again, it's going to be splitting hairs. Going to be a great game, I believe.
Do you remember how you felt about the game 2 years ago?
Yeah, I like Philadelphia. And again, Jalen over-exceeded expectations. I think he could duplicate that type of productivity in this game today.
He threw for 300.
Yeah, he did. He outplayed Pat Mahomes.
Yeah.
Again, and here's two things. People say, well, Saquon's got to get to 125, 150. Not necessarily. He can run for 100, have another 50 in the receiving game. Keep in mind, James Cook, 49 receiving yards last week. What did Christian McCaffrey do in the Super Bowl last year? He ran the football, but he also had close to 80 yards in the receiving game. That could be an added dimension where we always say in big games you have to break tendency. Which team could break tendency? They've had 2 weeks to break down game film. Which team could show a different look or utilize something that maybe Kansas City or Philly's not looking for? They've been great at it in terms of Kansas City exploiting weaknesses. We've seen last time they played, Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney scored. That's why I think Saquon, 25-plus receiving yards could be the way to go this week.
Yeah, is there any other wager prop, anything that you like?
Yeah, I like Saquon. It's plus 270 in terms of the receiving game. Okay.
What's the number on it?
270 for 25-plus. Plus
over
270.
25-plus?
Yep.
Okay.
So I think you can get to 40. In New Jersey, you can alt it as high as you want. You can make your own bets in some of the books like FanDuel and stuff. But at the end of the day, I think the receiving game for Saquon is there. If we're looking Kansas City, I like Samaje Perine anytime touchdown at plus 950.
Okay.
He's the third down back. He's proven. Pat goes to him in critical situations, obviously. And then if we're looking running backs, Pacheco over 20.5 rushing. I know Kareem Hunt has been the battering ram. I understand he's the more physical back up until this point. We have another week of preparation. Pacheco's younger. Again, I think they're 20.5. That's 1 or 2 runs.
Seriously, like you break one.
Right.
Like you break
and that's
one.
It. One run. In these type of games, it's always the guy or the player that you don't scheme for that ultimately wins Super Bowls, right? Think about it. Timmy Smith years ago. I'm old enough to remember that back in the day. But, I mean, it's always that unheralded superstar sometimes that makes a play. And both of these teams have them. It's just how they utilize them.
Who wins?
I think Philly wins. The score I have is 24-20. I think it's a lower scoring game. I'm going under the total.
Okay.
I do feel Hurts has a good day, though. I think when you look at his passing total, 225 at plus 124, 250 at 225 is great value. I think it's the passing game to open up the run for Philadelphia.
Joe Lisi, Sports Grid. Come to a game in Tiger Stadium this year, man.
Let me tell you, I want to be. Yeah, I'll be down there in the eye of the tiger.
Let's
I'll
go.
get those fans riled up.
You make it to Baton Rouge, I got your hookup. I got
love
your
it.
tickets. I got you what you need.
I'm there.
Let me know when you're in.
I tell you, we'll talk about it.
All right, brother. Be
Love
good,
you, man.
Thank
Love
you so
you.
much. Joe Lisi, it's after further review. We're from Radio Row, Super Bowl 59 presented by LeBears. We'll wrap up hour number 1 next.
AFR.
Quick reminder about our friends over at Clegg's Nursery with 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. Segan near Airline, LA 16 in Denham, Mid-City on Donmore, and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. We had a snow. I was looking at this the other day, like yesterday in my yard. We had the snow in Baton Rouge a couple of weeks ago, blanketed everything. Plants are still struggling to come back. Some are brown, some look dead. What do you do if you're not sure? The horticulturists over at Clegg's, they got the answer. So you can take pictures of your yard or just call them. They'll let you know. They're fantastic at that. If you're looking, though, with everything thawing out, being in the 70s now, like actually I'm looking, it's 81 degrees right now in New Orleans. It's crazy. But anyway, if you got to just put those plants in the ground right now. Thinking about buying a tree, fruit tree, citrus, like those have to go in the ground now. Like this is planting season. So get by Clegg's and just plant something. 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. They've been servicing the greater Baton Rouge area for more than 60 years. So buy local, shop local at Clegg's Nursery.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Got chores that need some extra muscle, but a large piece of equipment is overkill? That's what John Deere compact utility tractors were made for. Powerful enough for the work you need to do. Compact enough for how you need to do it. Find the equipment that's right for you at Sunshine Quality Solutions. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and oh yeah, they also do interior shutters. Live from Super Bowl 59 Radio Row in New Orleans. Presented by L'Auberge Casino Hotel, Baton Rouge.
LSU football lost a commitment today. They had a massive junior day we got to get to. LSU baseball trending toward the start of the season. We still got a lot of stuff to get to. But we are here on Radio Row, Super Bowl 59, Day 1. Our coverage all week presented by L'Auberge Baton Rouge, so we appreciate them so much for making this possible all week. But we have a lot breaking and developing, and the normal stuff we're going to cover in addition to Super Bowl. We'll continue to be sort of flexible and nimble. But right now, Muso around the SEC.
Around the SEC, bringing you the biggest news from the nation's best conference. The Alabama Crimson Tide.
Kalen DeBoer's filling out his staff. Familiar name, Ryan Grubb, reunites with his former head coach from Washington as Alabama's co-offensive coordinator. Yay, Alabama, the school's NIL collective, reported that news. Of course, you'll remember Grubb was initially supposed to join DeBoer at Alabama last season, but decided to remain up in Washington when the Seahawks came calling with their OC job. He was fired after just 1 year. Served as the offensive coordinator for Kalen DeBoer for 4 seasons at Washington and Fresno State. He is expected to take over play calling duties from Nick Sheridan, who had the responsibility a season ago.
The Tennessee Volunteers.
Couple notes here for Tennessee. Let's start with football. According to VolQuest, that's their On3 channel, Tennessee special teams coordinator and outside linebackers coach Mike Eckler is leaving Knoxville to return to Lincoln to coach Nebraska's special teams. He spent the last 4 seasons over on Rocky Top. Has spent time with USC, Georgia, North Carolina, Kansas, Indiana. Interestingly enough, though, his 3 seasons in Lincoln came under Bo Pelini when he was leading the linebackers. Of course, Eckler's departure now leaves Josh Heupel with 2 spots on his staff to fill. A baseball note for the Vols. Great news for Tony Vitello. Tennessee's lineup added former North Carolina slugger Alberto Osuna from the transfer, not really the transfer portal. He was going to play D2, but he played junior college ball, so the Diego Pavia rule allows him back into college baseball 2 weeks before opening day, mind you. He hit 45 homers in 3 seasons in Chapel Hill. He's pretty good.
The Texas Longhorns.
Texas. This comes from Matt Zenitz over at 247. Texas is targeting Ohio State graduate assistant Alan Clark for an on-field coaching opportunity with their outside linebackers position. Clark has spent the last 2 seasons in Columbus. He's a Louisiana native, in fact, from Baton Rouge. Played defensive end at Grambling and Northwestern State. Got his coaching start with the Southern Jaguars. Also trains high-profile NFL guys like Danielle Hunter, Jeffrey Simmons, and Ed Oliver. We'll see if he does end up landing at Texas.
The Mississippi State Bulldogs.
Good news for Jeff Levy on the recruiting trail. 2026 offensive lineman Jacoby Green pledged to the Bulldogs over the weekend after attending their junior day. 3-star, over a dozen offers, including Florida, Miami, Maryland, and Ole Miss. 6'3", 360 pounds, the number 67 interior offensive lineman in the class. He makes commitment number 5 for Jeff Levy and company.
The Vanderbilt Commodores.
And then finally, Vanderbilt gets a commitment from 2026 athlete Daniel Vollmer over the weekend out of Cincinnati. Second prospect that joins Vanderbilt's 2026 class, held offers from Duke, Cincinnati, Indiana, and more. 6'2", 210 pounds, 3-star per on 3, the number 53 athlete in the class of 2026. And that is around the SEC.
Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com, lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Gents, we are, 11 days away. 11 days away from Valentine's Day. Is it getting real because we're almost to single digits? Don't screw it up. Thrill her with a gift in the red box from Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Online at lmfj.com, lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. They are the best selection, the highest quality diamonds, always natural diamonds from the finest diamond mines in the world. You will never find a man-made or lab diamond. It's not a science experiment. This is your expression of love to her. Thrill her with a gift in the red box from Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. When we have some more time, I do want to explore a little bit more Alabama's decision, Kellen Moore rehiring Ryan Grupe as the offensive coordinator. I do think it's interesting to see what that combination might be able to net. You're obviously having a massive turnover of roster again, but Grupe and DeBoer have been together not just at Washington, but previously at Fresno, at Eastern Michigan. They were together at the NAIA level also. So long history there, lots to talk about. Hour number 2 is next.
AFR.
We're brought to you by the Williamson Eye Center. 924-2020, 924-2020, or WilliamsonEye.com. Hey, remember, when I encourage you all the time about calling the Williamson Eye Center, the first step is that free consultation. And you're going to have that consultation with Kyle, and she's awesome. You can have it in person. You can do it on your commute to work, on your commute home, at your lunch break. But just understand, like, that consultation, this is not a sales pitch. This is just them taking a little bit of information to be able to give you your options, and they don't charge for it. It's totally free. And again, virtual consultations are available as well, so you can do it from anywhere. It's worth getting the information so you can make the best decision, so you can start living your life without contacts or glasses. It's the Williamson Eye Center, 924-2020 or WilliamsonEye.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. Cleveland defensive end Myles Garrett issues a statement today saying he wants to be traded. ESPN's Adam Schefter.
The Browns have been very public in the idea that they're not moving on from Myles Garrett. They're not trading him, which is why I come back to the point is how difficult is Myles Garrett willing to make life for them?
Yeah.
Is he going to make it such that they have to trade him?
Adam Schefter on the Pat McAfee Show. Garrett was the Defensive Player of the Year last season, and he's one of the finalists this season. The Heat are still trying to trade Jimmy Butler, but it might not be to the Warriors. ESPN's Brian Windhurst reports Butler says he's not willing to sign a new deal with Golden State. The Bucks play the Thunder tonight in OKC on the second night of a back-to-back. Giannis Antetokounmpo, Damian Lillard, Chris Middleton, all out for Milwaukee. Blue Jackets winger Kirill Marchenko had surgery today on his broken jaw after getting hit with a puck while sitting on the bench Sunday against the Dallas Stars.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy, coming up Tuesday as we head towards the big game. I'll tell you who my top 5 non-quarterbacks are in Super Bowl 59. It's unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio.
That's right. Woo!
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR presented by Relief Windows. We are here, Radio Row, from Super Bowl 59, Day 1 at the Morial Convention Center. And our coverage all week is presented by L'Auberge Baton Rouge Casino and Hotel. We appreciate them so much for making this possible. Muse Pauly back in studio here on site with our guy CV, Alondra, Bo Wegman. We got a whole team down here, which is awesome. Of course, a new member of our team this football season, Ross Jackson from LouisianaSports.net, hopping on with us because although it's the first day of Super Bowl week, the Saints just had to force themselves into the news cycle. Thanks for jumping on. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Good. First of all, there was the report earlier today from Schefter that it looks like, barring any setbacks, Kellen Moore will be the guy. I don't think that's a giant surprise. My surprise is we didn't get that report late last week because that's what happened with Kubiak last year.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And, well, I will say this. You know it if you've been reading at LouisianaSports.net. I'm just saying. But here's the thing. But here's the thing. You'll notice that a lot of the people that were reporting around the Kellen Moore nationally, that were reporting around the Kellen Moore news last week, were all NFL media people, right? Tom Pelissero,
Diana Rossini.
Yeah, right. So it's all, but a lot of the people that were reporting like, hey, they're having the third meeting were literally people employed by the NFL as a part of their media. So they really have to walk the line of the NFL rules, right? When you get outside of that, then you start to see like a little bit more kind of preemptive reporting, which is what you saw from Adam Schefter today, who said what we've been saying, which is that, this is most likely going to be the hire, barring a setback. Now, did we find the setback? That part we don't know.
Okay. Excellent transition. That's why you're really good at what you do. So let's talk about that potential setback. All right, so for the listener, the viewer who knows nothing about who maybe just saw the headline, church scandal cover-up thing, give me the super, explain it to a third grader.
Yeah.
What's happened here?
Yeah, so there's a church in New Orleans that did some very, very bad things, or that have members of clergy that were a part of some very, very bad things, and apparently the New Orleans Saints were a part of, allegedly kind of guiding a little bit of the language and spin around it. And then now there's further accusations that maybe they were a little bit more involved with all of it. I grew from third grade a little bit throughout
No, that's fine. You used accusations. But whenever – I don't know if a third grader knows that word. Maybe.
I knew that word in third grade.
probably did too, but then you and I are kind of –
Yeah, well, we're in trouble.
But you try to get me to do long division right now. I'm screwed.
Done.
Okay, but you said the New Orleans Saints. So what's more important, I think, than just saying the Saints are the specific names of those alleged to have been involved.
Yeah. And so that would be executives that are amongst those named were owner Gail Benson, team spokesperson Greg Bensel, and then team president Dennis Lauscher. So these are, really, these are people that are kind of away from the football operations part, so it shouldn't impact like the fan and the viewer in that way in terms of what happens on the field. But it is a top-down type situation to where there are people that are allegedly involved in all of this that are the decision makers and core decision makers of what eventually trickles down to what you see.
Yeah, man. So like, this is my big picture question. I don't know the answer to this. I don't think you have the answer to this either. It's just for food for thought. I mean, we're talking about some pretty heavy stuff. Yeah. Again, allegations. There are emails, so there's documentation here. Now, it's not like it's just he said, she said. Like, there is
276 emails were leaked that's
a lot.
Kind of create all of this.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Is there a reality in which something like what we saw with Donald Sterling with the Clippers or Dan Snyder with the Commanders, Washington football team, where you're talking about a conduct detrimental type policy where the league says, we're forcing you out?
Yeah, so what that would require is for the league to conduct some type of independent investigation as the NFL into the situation. Roger Goodell was actually just speaking, the commissioner of the NFL here, I think upstairs, like literally just above where we are. And he was asked about this, and one of the things that he said was, look, this is something that the FBI is involved in, that he believes some local law enforcement are involved in, and so he's just going to kind of leave it to that and kind of mention that his understanding is that the Saints were serving a supporting role in order to create greater transparency from the Archdiocese of New Orleans, which is the organization that's all a part of this and everything. So he did not reference any kind of interest in or forecast any kind of investigation from the NFL, and even went so far really as to kind of have Gail Benson and the others that were named in this, their back in the midst of all of it in terms of his supportive language of them. So as of right now, I wouldn't expect anything to come of that. But this is also typical of the NFL when there are ongoing investigations that are happening, that they don't get involved until after the ongoing investigations have concluded. That way they don't potentially sway something outside of their organization.
Obviously, that's the way it should go that way. I mean, there's a presumption of innocence until guilt is proven, and the burden of proof falls on the accuser. So we'll see not to suggest they did anything illegal.
No, but the big part of it is that if there is something here that ends up, popping off, then or something else is uncovered or whatever, the NFL, if they start an investigation now, they're behind on that. The other side of it is that if they see that and they say, you know what, that is conduct detrimental in terms of what we look at, then that could potentially influence anything that would potentially go to civil cases, court, anything like that, and they don't want that to happen.
Yeah, man. That's this story, which has been going on really for 5 years now, right? One of the initial accusations were in 2019, so I don't think this is going away. But it was for that news drop on the morning of day one of Super Bowl week in New Orleans was something. We'll continue to follow that story. Now, as I understand it, Kellen Moore is about to speak to the media.
That's correct. So Kellen Moore and both teams really are about to be made available over at the Caesars Superdome as a part of the opening night. So hopefully we'll be able to get some time with Kellen Moore and be able to kind of get some questions in about his interviews and things ongoing with the New Orleans Saints. He'll probably be very careful about how he answers those things, of course, but it will be interesting to see if we can get a little bit of his side on it.
Can he answer it?
He can answer and say what he has done already. What he would have to be careful of, and what I imagine that he would be careful of, is to not tip off or say anything to his team that would have them feel like his focus is on that job and not them in the Super Bowl. So it's really just kind of like making sure that you remain present for your team more than anything else. I don't think there's anything he could say that would get them in trouble unless they were like, yeah, Mickey and I were on the phone last night. Then that would get them in trouble, certainly. But Mickey Loomis and the New Orleans Saints are very much playing this, if I can borrow from Adam Schefter, by the book, as he said. They're going to do everything they can to make sure that there is no sort of confusion or concern about this potentially being what would be considered a tampering situation. Yeah, especially with the Eagles practicing at the Saints facility this week.
So, that is
that's exactly. This is what happened to the Arizona Cardinals. This is the same thing happened to the Arizona
Eagles.
Cardinals. Same thing. The Eagles were practicing at the Cardinals facility getting ready for the Super Bowl there in Phoenix a couple years ago, and then Jonathan Gannon goes over and takes the job, and then all of a sudden they were like, wait a minute, y'all weren't supposed to talk, So the Saints are like, look, bro, we're not talking to them. They're over there, like we in the house, but we don't talk to one another. You know what I mean? Like,
they ended up, the Eagles and Cardinals ended up just doing a pick swap.
That's it.
It was a relatively benign thing. It was what was happening, but again, as you said, by the book, by the letter of the law, how it all has to go. It'll be interesting to see what Kellen Moore might say when he meets with reporters here or throughout the week.
Yeah.
How do you feel? And by the way, I guess it's noteworthy. There was more news about assistants taking other jobs.
Correct.
Happened today?
Yeah. So now the one that we had already expected, which was quarterbacks coach for the New Orleans Saints, Andrew Janocko, he's going to be following Clint Kubiak, the offensive coordinator who's headed over to Seattle. Along with them, offensive line coach John Benton also traveling over to Seattle. And now, so the other offensive coaching staff member that we're watching in the midst of all this is Derek Foster, who they brought in last year from the Los Angeles Chargers as a running back coach. He was given the opportunity to go and interview with the Dallas Cowboys, did interview. We'll see if he ends up potentially leaving as well. So those are kind of the things that we kind of expect when you see a new head coach come in, to where some of these assistants end up heading out because there's no guarantee for them here. So we'll see, if there's any other exodus that happens.
So that was going to be my follow-up. Ross Jackson's our guest. Does all of this suggest that royal wave? Do the assistants leaving suggest that they know Darren Rizzi's not getting the job, or they're just not leaving it to chance?
I think they're just not leaving it to chance.
Okay.
I mean, look, this was kind of the conversation from the very beginning. When we did our end-of-year press conference with Mickey Loomis, the general manager, he said that basically the way that he looks at it is that everybody's employed, but if you start getting interviews, you start getting the opportunity to go and talk to other people, just come and talk to me, let me know, and then handle it kind of on a case-by-case basis. So what I imagine that this actually signifies more than anything else, or indicates more than anything else, is that there's going to be change, right? And that there was already expected to be change, whether that was Darren Rizzi, whether it's Kellen Moore, whether it was going to be Mike McCarthy, whatever. It kind of shows you that they looked at this coaching staff and they looked at sort of this opportunity here with a new head coach coming in to say, you know what, here's a chance to change everything, change a lot of stuff, get new schemes, get new systems in, and be able to kind of push forth to a new era that's not connected to the previous era.
Bro, they really traded Luka for street clothes.
They really did trade Luka for street clothes, and I just want to make sure that I mention out loud for everybody, in case you haven't heard, that Anthony Davis was traded away from Los Angeles before he thanked New Orleans. So I just want to make sure. I don't know why. I don't know why I feel compelled to say that, but I do.
It'll never happen. So. We'll just never ever see it happen.
It's great. I don't want the bit to die.
So it won't die. That's going to live, and he's going to make sure that it lives for a long time. All right, I know you got to go get on a shuttle over to the Dome to go talk to Kellen Moore. So make sure you ask him good questions and really prod him to make sure that he gets some good stuff. Get it exclusively for LouisianaSports.net and the Locked On Saints podcast as well. So if you're not subscribed to Locked On Saints, shame on you. All right, Ross, thank you, man. Appreciate
it. Man. Good to see you.
That's Ross Jackson. It's AFR. We're live from Radio Row, presented by Low Bears. Our Monday shows all throughout the year are presented by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Energy-efficient replacement windows, beautiful entry doors, hardy plank vinyl siding. Oh, yeah, they do shutters as well. They're just the best. It's Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Okay, we got a lot to get to. We're here, Radio Row, at Super Bowl 59. Ross is literally running right now. He was literally just running. He's literally running to go catch the shuttle over to the Dome. We got still a ton to get to here throughout the rest of the day. I do want to take a quick moment when we come back and recap what was a busy recruiting weekend for LSU football. They did lose a commit for the class of 2026, but a massive junior day. So we got some thoughts on that. Shay's going to be with us. Shay is scheduled to be with us tomorrow. So we'll go deep dive into everything he knows about junior day. But all I have is the 10,000-foot view from, who tweeted pictures and who was there and whatnot. So I'll tell you what some of my big picture takeaways were from that. We'll get to that here shortly. Stay with us. It's AFR.
After further review.
Love telling you about our friends over at the Renaissance Hotel. Of course, Watermark downtown, the Renaissance downtown. My friend Allison Crump, who the events coordinator over at the Renaissance, who I have a chance to tell you about all the time. Her son, Eli, is a freshman at Catholic High who's playing baseball. They had the baseball first pitch banquet last week that I emceed, so I got to see Allison and her whole family, and great people. And so I had to tell you about these folks. I'm being sincere. They're really great folks. Nathaniel Tannehill over there at the Renaissance, awesome guy. Point is, if you're having an event and you're looking around at different venues, I want you to remember the Renaissance Hotel. Renaissance Baton Rouge can manipulate their 13,000 square feet of meeting space to fit whatever event and accommodate whatever event you have. So log on or call over to Renaissance Baton Rouge and ask for Allison Crump, and she'll help start that process for you. Of course, it's the Watermark downtown, and it's the Renaissance on Bluebonnet.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Got chores that need some extra muscle, but a large piece of equipment is overkill? That's what John Deere compact utility tractors were made for. Powerful enough for the work you need to do. Compact enough for how you need to do it. Find the equipment that's right for you at Sunshine Quality Solutions. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle.
Review presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and oh yeah, they also do interior shutters. Live from Super Bowl 59 Radio Row in New Orleans. Presented by Low Barrish Casino Hotel Baton Rouge.
Saints kicker Blake Grupe was here as we started the show. If you missed that, Joe Lisi from Sports Grid, longtime friend of the show. Both in hour one. We started off hour two just a second ago. Ross Jackson with the absolute latest with the Saints. Not only the Kellen Moore news, assistance, but also Saints for all the wrong reasons making headlines as we've learned more about their alleged involvement in helping the Archdiocese of New Orleans in their I don't want to say cover up. That's not the right way to say it, but helping with their public relations campaign. An ugly situation that'll continue to evolve. We'll follow it. And then, of course, Kellen Moore. Sounds like Adam Schefter's report today. The report, as I've said several times, I expected to hear last week. Setback. Kellen Moore. Super Bowl 59, which, of course, is Sunday night. Just where we sit right now at Caesars Superdome. Stuff here in a second. It was a big weekend for LSU football in recruiting. And, several dozen class of 2026 prospects were on campus, including some 2027 prospects as well. The headline news from the weekend is going to be that Jerylan McCoy decommitted from LSU's 2026 class. If you're not familiar, McCoy is a defensive lineman out of Tupelo. He is 6'6", 245 pounds. He only committed to LSU about a month ago. So it's a bit odd whenever you have someone that's committed and then decommit so shortly thereafter. But McCoy, make no mistake, is a really good prospect. I mean, he is a high 4-star in the On3 composite. He is ranked the number 88 overall prospect, so he's a top 100 prospect in the country. He's the 8th best defensive lineman in the composite and the 5th best player in the state of Mississippi. So, again, a highly sought-after guy. Ole Miss has offered, and it seems as though that's going to flip there. That's where all the predictions are in now that he's decommitted from LSU to pick Ole Miss and stay in state at Tupelo, from Tupelo and go to Ole Miss. But offers from Bama and Southern Cal and Oregon and everybody right now. As it stands, though, for LSU's class of 2026, it was a really significant junior day weekend for LSU. And I think there were 3 big takeaways that I had from this weekend. Number one, and again, I'm not going to go too nuanced. It's why we'll have Shea on with us on Tuesday and let him go a little deeper dive into all this. Number one, I think, is the fact that you had the top 3 uncommitted prospects in Louisiana on campus. Lamar Brown from U-High, Blaine Bradford from Catholic High, and Jabari Mack from Destrehan. These are 3 of the top prospects in the country at any position, and you're talking about guys that everybody in the country wants. Lamar Brown is the number 11 overall prospect in the country. Blaine Bradford is the number 15 overall player in the country for 2026. And Jabari Mack is number 78 overall in the country for 2026. And he's the top receiver in the state for the class. So you're talking about a year, as we've talked about a good bit, in Louisiana, where it's one of those once-a-decade type bumper crops. We've talked about 2001, where you had Michael Clayton and Marcus Spears and Marquise Hill and Andrew Whitworth, that great class that was the core of the 03 national championship team. You look at 2011, the FAM, Jarvis, Odell, Lyle Collins, Freak Johnson. Like, this is another one of those types of years when you look at it in state. And remember, Jakeem Stewart was supposed to be part of the 2026 class as well, but Lamar Brown, number 11 nationally. Blaine Bradford, number 14 nationally. Richard Anderson, number 39 nationally. Aiden Hall, number 41 nationally. Bryson Martinez, number 56 nationally. Jabari Mack, number 82 nationally. So that's 6 players, 6 top 100 players in Louisiana. Anderson and Hall are already committed to LSU, but the top uncommitted prospects in the state, Brown, Bradford, Jabari Mack, all on campus this weekend, which is great because, as we know, when you have a year like this in Louisiana, you got to put the fence around the state. You got to get those guys. And for whatever it's worth, Lamar Brown, according to On3, 98% projected to LSU. Blaine Bradford, 96% projected to LSU. Jabari Mack, 91% projected to LSU. So LSU is in the lead, perceived to be in the lead for these guys. But you got to keep them engaged and make sure that they that you continue to prioritize and maintain that priority. And we could go through positionally why it's important for those 3, of course. When you look at the offensive line, we know you're losing 4 starters this year. You brought in 2 starters out of the portal for next year. But when you go to 2026, it's a real scenario where you could have enough turnover to where someone like Lamar Brown coming in could win a job right away in the same way that Will Campbell and Emory Jones did. Blaine Bradford, when we look at the safety spot, obviously you've seen a massive disillusion of the talent. I mean, the talent is dissolved in that room at safety, and you're trying to build it back, and adding Tamarcus Cooley out of the portal is huge, but you have young guys that haven't quite developed yet. And, when you look to 2026, you get a guy that's a 5-star, the number 1 safety in the country that has offers from everybody. yes, I mean, that's the type of guy that could be a plug-and-play in the same way that Eric Reed played as a freshman, or Jamal Adams played as a freshman, or you saw Grant Delpit emerge as a freshman, or LaRon Landry started as a freshman. I'm not trying to put so much expectation to say he's going to be an All-American and first-round draft pick like those guys were, but it's realistic that he could come in at a position of need and be an immediate impact guy. And then, of course, I mean, Jabari Mack, a receiver from Destrehan. What else do we need to say? I mean, Destrehan's been awesome to LSU. You know, from Jordan Jefferson and Ricky Jefferson, Justin Jefferson, John Emery, Kalaj Cobbins, who's on the team right now. I mean, Destrehan has been a great pipeline of talent for LSU, and you got to go get the next one. You got to get Jabari Mack. That was number one. So the uncommitted guys for 26 being on campus. Number two, your current 2026 commitments attended. Richard Anderson and Aiden Hall, both out of Endicott in New Orleans, both top 50 players in the country. Anderson, number 39. Hall, number 41. Anderson's the number 2 defensive tackle. Hall's the number 5 safety. You had them both on campus. That's great. And I'll tell you, number 3 is the 2027 attendees, I thought, was an interesting storyline. You know, all these guys tweeted about being on campus, and 3 new offers went out as well, headlined by 2027 running back Jaden Miles out of Catholic High. And I'm going to spare you. I'm not going to yell Catholic High. But the thing, whenever we do talk about players at Catholic in that program, it is so important that LSU has a healthy relationship with Catholic High, because you don't need me to spell this out for you, but just look at how fertile a recruiting ground that has become. Name it. If you want to start recently with Emory Jones, I mean, you got Shelton Sampson. It didn't materialize at LSU for Sampson, but you got him here as a high 4-star from Catholic. You know, you have Jacob Bradford in this class. You're recruiting Blaine Bradford for next year. Now you're talking about Jaden Miles for 2027. We can go further back, and you could talk about Clyde Edwards-Helaire and obviously Darius Geis, and we could continue to go back further and further. But the point is, and it's really, I mean, it's certainly baseball as well now, but you got to have a healthy relationship with that program to make sure that pipeline, that road is paved, so you keep getting all the kids from Baton Rouge, from Catholic, from U-High, to Zachary, to LSU. And so that's a big one to get that early offer for Jaden Miles, who's huge. I mean, he just finished his sophomore year. He's in his sophomore year of high school. He's finished his sophomore season. I mean, he's a 6', 200-pound running back as a sophomore. So there's a picture that he posted, that Jaden Miles posted on his Twitter, and it's him with Frank Wilson in Frank Wilson's office, and he towers over Frank Wilson. This kid's a high school sophomore running back. So, yes, those guys for 2027 are massive. And then you also had 2 players for 27 that are number 1 at their position. Ahmad Hudson, who's the number 1 tight end in the country. He's from Ruston. And then Ellis McGaskin, who's the number 1 linebacker in the country from Alabama, was also on campus. So getting work done early. I know just doing this long enough, it's most people pay attention to recruiting like 2 days a year, the early signing period and the regular signing day. And it's like, who do we get? Tell me what I need to know. Most don't dig into the nuance of a recruiting class. Like, we're not in February. You're not necessarily worrying about 2027 kids, right? Dudes that are high school sophomores right now. And I get it. But now I would say even more than ever, with portal and NIL and so many other variables that factor into the recruiting process, it's never been more important to make sure that your roster management is not only on schedule but ahead of schedule, because you have to be able to plan for not only where your roster deficiencies are now, but where they likely could be a year from now as well, and 2 years from now, because of who you might lose in the portal and obviously who you gained in the portal, who are only going to be 1-year stopgap guys. So that's why making sure you're developing a relationship with 2027 guys now is more important now than it ever has been before. So a busy weekend with LSU at Junior Day this past weekend. Again, Shea Dixon will be with us tomorrow for his usual Tuesday slot, and we'll be able to go much deeper into that. I'll ask Shea his takeaway from all those. But those are three big picture takeaways that I had from the guys that were on campus for LSU's Junior Day this weekend. All right, it is After Further Review. We're glad to have you hanging out with us here. We're brought to you by First South Farm Credit. If you're thinking of buying land, your first call should be to First South Farm Credit. You can always go to firstsouthland.com, firstsouthland.com. We're here for Super Bowl Radio Row. Someone on Sunday will be the first team in the NFL, or maybe the Chiefs will be the first NFL team to three-peat. Maybe Jalen Hurts will win his first Super Bowl. Remember, if you're thinking of buying land, your first call should be to First South Farm Credit. Log on to firstsouthland.com, firstsouthland.com for First South Farm Credit. All right, y'all. It's After Further Review from Radio Row, our coverage all week presented by L'Auberge Baton Rouge. Well, now I got a quick break, and when we come back, the LSU baseball team did scrimmage over the weekend. Muse, as I understand it, had a chance to get out there at the box. Certainly that's featured on Muso at the box. But we'll go back and forth a little bit on what we learned from this weekend scrimmage out at the box. We'll do that and continue with plenty more from Radio Row here. Super Bowl 59, our Monday show, is presented by Relief Windows.
After Further Review.
Always love to tell you about our friends here on AFR over at Action Industries, actionindinc.com, actionindinc.com. That's Action Industries Incorporated. It's pretty simple. If you're looking for a company, an industrial contractor, to do work inside the fence, and you need someone with an exemplary safety record, which is everyone, because you don't get hired to do work inside the fence unless you have an exemplary safety record. In Action Industries, their safety record beats the industry standard. And someone that does amazing work, and that's also Action Industries. That's why they've been around for 43 years, because they rely so much on repeat business, and they continue to be rehired over and over again because they do exemplary work. You want Action Industries. They're a proud partner of LSU Athletics. Remember, at Action Industries, they also have a separate turnaround division. It's the Advanced Turnaround Group. So when you're looking for someone to bid your turnaround job, remember Action Industries.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Got chores that need some extra muscle, but a large piece of equipment is overkill? That's what John Deere compact utility tractors were made for. Powerful enough for the work you need to do. Compact enough for how you need to do it. Find the equipment that's right for you at Sunshine Quality Solutions. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine. at sunequip.com.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and oh yeah, they also do interior shutters. Live from Super Bowl 59 Radio Row in New Orleans. Presented by Low Bearish Casino Hotel Baton Rouge.
Man, it's starting to build around here. It's so interesting. It's our first time here at Radio Row for the Super Bowl, and the vendors that are here, it's pretty cool, but it makes sense. Like, for example, as I'm looking directly across the row, there's like a makeshift facade of Lambeau Field, and that's a whole like hospitality area for the upcoming NFL draft, because obviously they want media to go to Lambeau, to Green Bay this year to cover the draft. There is next to that a Visit Pittsburgh booth and hospitality booth over there, because next year's draft is in Pittsburgh. There is a Super Bowl 60 hospitality, a Bay Area, but with a Bay Area host committee that's over there. There's a Nickelodeon set right over there as well, as Nickelodeon's partnered, obviously for the Super Bowl. But fascinating how this whole thing is set up and all the different things that are here, because typically, as we know, Radio Row, it's kind of what we've experienced, which are radio stations set up. But this is not just radio station. This is they call it here Media Row. And it's as it would be termed, new media. It is basically any type of media outlet that has a credential, that has a table and a setup here that can originate their content from here. So we're excited about it and bringing it to you all this week. Remember, if you missed anything, AFR On Demand is presented by Brett Golf, of course, with Off the Bench and the Hunt Palmer Show as well. All of our stuff all week long, of course, podcast, YouTube, and all of our social media accounts. Chris Marler, our social media manager, told me earlier today that I think he said we were over, close to 90. Here it is. This was at 2:51. So at 2 hours ago, he said we're at 85 posts across all platforms right now, just for today. So I think we are going to break a record today, if we haven't already, for the amount of content we have put out across all of our social media channels. So trying to do our best to bring Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans to you if you can't be here. So thank you for being with us. All right, it is After Further Review. We're brought to you by Michelli Weighing and Measurement, Michelli.com, Michelli.com. Remember, if you weigh or measure something, Michelli sells, services, rent the products that you use to weigh and measure. Check them out at Michelli.com. And if you're thinking about a career change, maybe you're military or ex-military thinking about a new career, or you're about to, or know someone who is about to retire from the military, return to civilian life, Michelli has a great DoD Skills Bridge program where they help both active military and those who have already resumed civilian life to transition into a professional career. If you want to learn more, you can. Michelli.com. Hit their careers tab at the top. Michelli. Michelli.com. Michelli.com. Okay, let's see. Real quick, baseball Tigers scrimmage this weekend. I wasn't there. Muse was. Muse, give us your 3 biggest takeaways from the LSU. First of all, set up the how the scrimmage was formatted, and then give us your 3 biggest takeaways from the weekend.
Sure. So, I was out there Saturday and Sunday, both gorgeous days to be out there. I mean, they had great crowds, too. They played 8 innings each day. Saturday, it was much more equitable with the lineups, and, I mean, they kind of spread it out pretty evenly. I mean, Stanfield, Brown, Jones, Aaron Beatty in one. You had Milam and Curiel and Dickinson and Hernandez in the other. So it was pretty equitable there. Again, they played 8 innings. And then on Sunday, it was not nearly as equitable when it comes to the lineups. I mean, they pretty much ran out what could be their opening day lineup for one team. And funnily enough, that team won the game. But three big takeaways. Let's start offensive because I can give you one: offense, defense, and kind of on the mound. Let's start with offense, and that starts with Derek Curiel. I mean, look, we've all heard the hype. We've all seen it. D1 baseball agent, the freshman of the year. The hype's just going to continue to build because he has to play, and he's going to play a lot. It just, the best way I could describe it, Matt, is we've all seen that guy kind of come through LSU and do it early. When you go out there and you watch Derek Curiel, you're like, oh, wait, he's that guy. He's that guy that's going to come in early and just start his ascent and kind of be the rising star. The power isn't there yet, but everything else is. He can run, he can hit, he can throw, he can catch. Like, everything else is there except for the power, and eventually that will probably come. But he had 5 hits over the 2 days that I was out there, including a 3-for-3 day on Sunday, and it's to all fields already. His understanding of just what they want from him at the plate it feels already elite. I mean, I saw him with a double down the right field line, sharp singles to center, and sharp singles to left. He catches everything out in the outfield. He could play center, he could play left, he could play anywhere. He feels like kind of like the next one. Not to overhype preseason camp, I get it, but like I said, we've kind of all seen that guy come through, and he feels like that guy. Jared Jones had a really, really good weekend, which obviously is encouraging because he's going to have to be the linchpin of your lineup. 4 hits over the course of 2 days for him, including a monster home run off of Jaden Newt on Sunday that cleared the left field bleachers with ease. The other thing with Jones, he's using the backside of the field a lot more too. I've seen him beat the shift twice over this past weekend, which is obviously encouraging because I think last year we saw him use the backside more with power, but now it's base hits. So that's, or at least it appears like it's going to be base hits. That's going to obviously help the average there. So those two were the big standouts offensively. And then, I mean, one more, Ashton Larson just continues to hit the ball. They're going to have to find a spot for him to play somewhere, whether it's in the outfield or DH. He went 3-for-3 on Monday, and then he went 2-for-2 or 2-for-3 on Sunday. He continues to hit the baseball. On the mound, saw Chase Shores for a second time. I saw him once in the fall, and I saw William Schmidt for a second time Saturday as well. Both interesting outings because when you look at Shores, he pitched better than the line is going to indicate, where he goes 3 2/3, gave up 4 runs, but they weren't all earned. He had some rough luck at times, but he also kind of didn't help himself out. He had a walk and hit by pitch and things of that nature. But that was all in the first inning. All 4 came across in the first inning. He got Ethan Fry to sack fly out. And starting with that, then he retired 11 in a row. Like, it was great to see him settle in and get what you would call deep into a game, kind of right in a scrimmage format at least, after such a rough start. Fastball was good, 96, 97. Slider looked really good. Like, the arm looks great. It's just, okay, is he going to have to work off some rust? And then with William Schmidt, this was incredibly encouraging to me because the first time I saw him in the fall, it was his first time pitching, and he got roughed up a little bit. William Schmidt threw the best inning of an LSU pitcher on Saturday. He came in, struck out the first 2 he faced, and then got a weak ground ball to short. The fastball was up to 97. He was mixing 3 pitches. I mean, he looked like the guy who was supposed to be taken in the first round. So his role is going to be very interesting because I think when you saw him his next couple innings, the velo dipped a little. So it's like, okay, you've heard him at the back end of the bullpen maybe. If William Schmidt comes in with that hook and that changeup, throwing 97 at the back end of LSU's bullpen, that can get exciting. Like, that can get people excited. He had a little bit of a rough second, but he gave up a run without the benefit of a hit. So, I mean, it was a rough second, but he bounced back strong in his third. And overall, you look at, 3 strikeouts in 3 innings. William Schmidt was really good. That was encouraging to see. The last thing I'll give you, Matt, is everyone's watching catcher, and I've been out there 3 times now, and for me, it's not any clearer. I think Cade Arrambide, in the 3 times I've been out there, has clearly been the best offensive option, but the ball is getting through him entirely too much to the backstop. So much so that after an inning on Sunday where he had about 2 to the backstop and a throwing error down at second base, Josh Jordan pulled him aside before he could even get back to the dugout and started coaching him up right there. Offensively, he's been great. The defense is leaving a little bit to be desired, but it's going to pick your poison what you want. Like, Blaze Priester had a really good defensive day on Saturday, but he went 0 for 6 over the course of the 2 days out there with 6 strikeouts. So you just kind of have to pick what spot they want. They mention Aaron Beatty first every time. He's obviously got the upside. That might be the direction they go, but for me, that spot's still not clear.
All right, Tigers will open up the season a week from Friday out at the Box. You can catch Musso at the Box podcast. YouTube, is YouTube up?
YouTube is up.
Okay, podcast and YouTube, Musso at the Box, daily LSU baseball content as we get closer to first pitch for the Tigers against Purdue Fort Wayne a week from Friday. It's the Derek Curiel hype. I understand it. We do it all the time with freshmen. I am not going to in any way try to limit or minimize that. Everyone who knows anything about baseball continues to hype him. I'm pretty excited to see him. But it's one of those things where I do wonder if the bat struggles early, which sometimes happens for freshmen, if the glove can keep him out there, like what Muse just said. We know Larson can hit this level of pitching. And if Stanfield really establishes himself in center, does that leave a spot? Or what does that mean for someone like Larson? It's going to be fascinating to see because, as Jay Johnson said, he feels like he could run eight outfielders out there. We haven't even mentioned Jake Brown or Josh Pearson. So, yes, Curiel's been awesome. Let's see if he can keep it up, especially when he starts seeing live pitching in actual games. So, all right, it's after further review. We're glad you're with us here. We're live from Radio Row for Super Bowl 59. Our coverage all week presented by L'Auberge Baton Rouge. We appreciate L'Auberge for their sponsorship and letting us be here all week long. Well, I got a quick break. Muse will do Tigers of the Pros to wrap up hour number 2. When we come back, we'll reset the day here from Radio Row as it's starting to wind down a little bit here. If you're not familiar with the schedule of events, tonight is the opening ceremony. They used to call that Media Day. That's the crazy circus-like atmosphere where, remember the woman one time was wearing a dress and proposed to Tom Brady or whatever it was? That's that. They do it now as they call it the opening night. It's in the Dome. The Eagles and Chiefs players all meet with reporters. You have an hour, so it's an hour block. The Eagles are from 7 to 8. There's an hour break while they change everything out, get the Eagles out, the Chiefs in. And then from 9 to 10 is when the Chiefs players have their hour at the opening night. So expect chaos and crazy things to flood your social media timeline tonight, starting at 7 o'clock when the Eagles take their turn on the field. But again, that's where Ross Jackson was going to jet over there to see if he could catch up with Kellen Moore to see what he might be able to find out about the potential new Saints head coach. That's what you're going to expect tonight. Here in New Orleans from Super Bowl coverage. All right, well, now I got a quick break here. We'll come back, wrap up hour number 2. Muse will have Tigers of the Pros. Stick around.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Visit yourgoodwood.com, yourgoodwood.com. If you're watching the Grammys on Sunday night, you saw plenty of a familiar face. Great new TV and video campaign ad that I was thrilled to participate in. But the bottom line is the reason that I am so willing to endorse Goodwood and share that story is to try to remove whatever stigma might be around there, where men might be embarrassed or not want to talk about low T or ED treatments. Even maybe if you struggle with ED, maybe you've tried the pills and that has worked or worked sparingly. There's multiple levels of treatments that they offer. So explore what your treatment options are. And certainly I've told you about all the different hormone replacement therapy options they have as well. Make sure you just inform yourself and get that blood test. yourgoodwood.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Got chores that need some extra muscle, but a large piece of equipment is overkill? That's what John Deere compact utility tractors were made for. Powerful enough for the work you need to do. Compact enough for how you need to do it. Find the equipment that's right for you at Sunshine Quality Solutions. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
When it comes to choosing energy for your family and your home, make the smart choice with natural gas. You can count on efficient and affordable natural gas to keep you comfortable and reduce your environmental impact.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and oh yeah, they also do interior shutters. Live from Super Bowl 59 Radio Row in New Orleans. Presented by L'Auberge Casino Hotel Baton Rouge.
You know, 1 year ago, the Super Bowl had 125 million viewers. It was the most watched game. I was asked a question a bit ago from our friends over at Barrett Sports Media. We're putting together a media survey. I don't mind sharing my answer with you. If we thought that the viewership would be higher or lower, I do think it's higher. I think naturally you have the game has to cooperate. If you have a blowout, then you will have people that become disinterested. But I do think this is going to be a compelling football game, a close football game between these two teams. You always run the risk of something like what happened with the Seahawks and the Broncos back in it would have been January or February of 2015. The 2014 season, that game that just became a total runaway. But certainly that does happen sometimes. But if you end up with a truly classic game, I think this has all the makings of a game that becomes the most watched event in television history because of the teams. The Chiefs dynasty, love them or hate them, they're interesting. Philadelphia with a major media market and an historic NFL franchise. Yes, you have the Taylor Swift component of this game as well. So as long as the game cooperates and is competitive, I do think we are going to see the highest rated Super Bowl, the highest rated television event ever. And then the other part of that question was asked is, what do you think about Tom Brady? And yeah, I mean, with the comments Greg Olsen made, I agree. I mean, as a broadcaster, there's no way Tom Brady should be calling the Super Bowl. But if you're a Fox executive, you understand that it's the name more than the substance, and certainly there's that appeal. So as a fan, I'd much rather listen to Greg Olsen as the color analyst. If I were the head of broadcast production at Fox, I'd have Tom Brady in that booth as well. All right, we're wrapping up hour number 2. Muso, we're short on time, but hit it. Tigers in the pros.
Tigers in the pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now.
Yeah, we'll blow and go. The LSU wide receivers, or I should say the former LSU wide receivers, took over the Pro Bowl games on Sunday. Start with Malik Neighbors for the NFC. 5 receptions, 62 yards. He found the end zone twice. Your other former LSU Tiger in the NFC is Justin Jefferson. He caught 6 passes, 46 yards. He found the end zone once. Over on the AFC side, Jamar Chase, the highlight of his day was a 45-yarder from Russell Wilson. One of 3 touchdown scores for Jamar Chase. And then Brian Thomas Jr., obviously from Jacksonville, added 2 more scores of his own. So you add it all up, if you're keeping score at home, former LSU wide receivers scored 8 touchdowns in the Pro Bowl games. It was won by the NFC, their third straight there. If you're looking for some NBA action tonight, plenty of former Tigers going to be on the court. Tari Eason with the Rockets. They visit the Knicks. Nas Reed with the Timberwolves. They host the Kings. And the late one out there on the West Coast, Duop Reith and the Trailblazers are hosting the Suns. That is Tigers in the Pros.
Presented by Parish Restoration. Do business with someone you know. Go to parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com. It was a wet week last week. We had a lot of rain. If you found you had any water intrusion and maybe as a result think you might have mold, maybe with all this flu going around, you want to sanitize your space, your home, your workspace, church, office building, anything, Parish Restoration. It's a patented non-toxic dry fog. It's safe, it's efficient, it's effective, it's affordable. Parish Restoration. Go to parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com. Hit the restoration tab for Parish Restoration. Again, go to parishbuilt.com. All right, y'all, it is After Further Review. We are here from Radio Row for Super Bowl 59. Our coverage all week presented by LeBear's Baton Rouge Casino and Hotel. Got a busy 5 o'clock hour straight ahead. We just caught up on the day here, and as Commissioner Roger Goodell met with reporters, we got Media Day tonight here at the Superdome. A ton to do. Hour 3 is next.
AFR.
Brought to you by Shaw Bills. You know what's funny? Blake Grupe was here in hour number 1, literally to start the show. Saints kicker Blake Grupe. He just happened to be walking by, so we grabbed him right as we started the show. And he said he's dating a girl from Morgan City. And it's funny the ties that you make in your brain. Shaw Bills was founded in Morgan City back in 1968, and they migrated their way up to Baton Rouge, covered the whole greater Baton Rouge area. Livingston, Ascension, West Baton Rouge. Now they've moved into Acadiana, in the whole Lafayette area. Bottom line is, in any of those areas, if you need tires and you want name brand tires at wholesale prices, you want Shaw Bills. They're just the best. Always ask about the Shaw Bills credit card. Always ask about the Shaw Bills credit card. It's basically a credit card for your vehicle. You get VIP pricing, and you get 6 months interest-free. So if you need to buy tires and you want to pay for them over 6 months with no interest, you want the Shaw Bills credit card. ShawBillsTire.com, ShawBillsTire.com. Shaw Bills, we keep you rolling.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Got chores that need some extra muscle, but a large piece of equipment is overkill? That's what John Deere compact utility tractors were made for. Powerful enough for the work you need to do. Compact enough for how you need to do it. Find the equipment that's right for you at Sunshine Quality Solutions. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. Cleveland Browns defensive end Myles Garrett wants to be traded. In a statement today, Garrett says his ultimate goal has always been winning a Super Bowl. Garrett has 2 years left on his contract. The Jaguars hire Pro Football Hall of Fame offensive lineman Tony Boselli as the team's new executive VP of football operations. He's been working on the team's radio broadcasts since 2013. The NBA trade deadline is Thursday. Our Brian Windhurst says the Suns are hoping to move Bradley Beal.
They are trying to thread a needle in a hurricane, which is to find a trade for Bradley Beal that Bradley Beal will accept. Bradley Beal's value is rough right now because of his contract.
Brian Windhurst, the three-team trade involving the Spurs, Kings, and Bulls is now official. The big names, De'Aaron Fox to San Antonio, Zach LaVine to Sacramento. John Shoemate, who played in the NBA but was best known as part of the Notre Dame team that stopped UCLA's record 88-game winning streak, has died at age 72.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. At Progressive, they're making things even easier. They'll help you bundle your home and car insurance together so you can save on both. Learn more at progressive.com or 1-800-PROGRESSIVE.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio.
Let's ride! Go!
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, presented by Relief Windows. We're here at Radio Row for Super Bowl 59, day one, winding down. I should say winding down around here because everything is building toward the Super Dome, where tonight is the NFL's opening night, and there will be vast coverage of opening night. But what's interesting about this venue here, where we are at the Montreal Convention Center, one of the gigantic exhibition halls. We're here in Hall, it looks like we're in Hall G and H combined here to open this space, which I would guess is probably, I don't know, man, 250, 300 yards long. I mean, this is like 3 football fields long and wide. I mean, this is a massive space where media entities from all over, not only the country but the world, are here. It's pretty incredible thing to see all this come together. This was bustling today. It's starting to empty out a bit here because the opening night ceremonies will be taking place at the Superdome, so the shuttles to the Dome have begun. So a lot of the media people have started to empty here and head toward the Dome for what's coming tonight. But we're here all week long. Of course, Hester and T-Bob on Off the Bench from 7 to 10, the Hunt Palmer Show from 1 to 3, and then we'll bring you home here from 3 to 6 each day on After Further Review from the Super Bowl. The teams did land. Jake Hester is here. Hey, 18, come here. I know you've talked for like 15 hours straight today, but put this on. You walk in front. That's fine. Real quick. I know Hester's just walking by. He just finished his third Sirius XM show of the day. So after talking for like how many hours?
Today, 8 hours.
I'm sure that's all you want to do is put on a headset and talk some more.
Yeah.
But congratulations. So Barrett Sports Media is releasing their top shows lists and stations program their top radio lists. And OTB, we found out this morning, keeps climbing. Number 7 in the country. Mid-market morning shows.
Yes.
Congrats.
Thank you, sir.
Fired up for UNT. That's awesome, man.
Yes.
Hard work. And I just got to feel good, dude. I mean, that's awesome.
It does. You know, even like the first year that like we got on the list felt awesome. I think we were in the teens somewhere, and then you get in the top 10. And then I think last year we were 9. We're like, oh, man, hope we don't fall in the top 10.
Well, I'll tell
we
you,
got to keep working here.
So I went to the Barrett Summit last year for the first time.
Yeah.
And so they invited me to vote. And I'll tell you, dude, like, it ain't no joke.
Yeah.
Like, you get the list of eligible shows
Right.
to vote on. It's a long list.
Yeah.
And, like, I mean, there's markets in there. There's
I know.
I mean, Baton Rouge is in the same conversation as, I mean, if you want to see it, I'll show you the list, but it's like Vegas and Milwaukee and Cincinnati.
Nashville.
And Pittsburgh. I mean, it's like NFL cities,
Yeah,
right?
right.
And it's like Baton Rouge and market 75 hanging around with market 30.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when you make that type of penetration into people's awareness, it's legitimate, man. Y'all should be really proud, man.
Yeah,
That's
we
an
are.
awesome thing.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, we certainly are, and we got the news this morning, kind of as as I was getting off air, and so yeah, to be top 7, to move up in the rankings. Hey, but make no mistake about it, Cole Kubelik, Greg McElroy. All right, y'all finished number 1 a couple years in a row, but we're coming. All right, we're coming for you. I don't know what we got to do, but we're going to find our way to get to that number 1 spot eventually.
Don't ask me who I voted number 1.
Mac and Cubes.
Had to, bro.
You
I
didn't
could
have to do
No,
anything.
here's the thing. So I asked. No, listen. So I even asked Jason Barrett. I was like, "Hey, can I vote for our guys?"
Yeah.
Like, and he's like, "Well, of course. Like, if you think it's that legit,
Right.
whatever, then you do what you want to do." But so put y'all to.
Hey, you know what? That doesn't surprise me that you would put us number 2.
But
It's
like,
okay,
I didn't
though.
want to be. I didn't want him.
You didn't want to be a
the-
homer.
I didn't want him to get the thing and be like, "What are you doing?" You
Yeah,
just
look.
but legit, dude.
Yeah, and look, Mac and Cubes, they do a great job. Their show is certainly different than OTB.
Bro, I think y'all are better than
I don't think there's any question about that. It is a different show, but they do a great job. But I'm not kidding. Like, eventually, like, the plan is to come for number 1.
All right, next
Yeah.
year. If they let me vote again next year. No, but like I legit just didn't want to be like
I get it.
So
I get it. I mean, I don't really know if they ever gave me a vote. I don't really know any other afternoon shows because I'm always talking. I know yours. I know your show.
No, but anyway, in all seriousness though, it's like you really, really, really should be humble. But it's an awesome.
It is. They do a great
awesome
job.
honor.
And I mean, I know the presentation that you gave last year. Like, I do shows with Bobby Carpenter over on Sirius XM, and he also does a local show in Columbus. And they took the presentation that y'all gave for how we do YouTube here on 104.5, and now that's what they implicated into their station there, the Fan in Columbus, which is another huge station there. So you did something right there.
Well, I think a lot of people maybe don't. If you're not like in the biz, I keep doing this today. I don't. Why do I?
Anytime I do this, I like try to, even though we're on video, I'm like
air quotes. I don't know why I keep doing it, but I guess the point is like Barrett Sports Media is like it's kind of like a trade. I just did it again, like a trade publication sort of thing. But so it's what a lot of people in sports media and news media, it's where people go to share ideas and thoughts, and it's a really cool thing. So anyway, what's y'all have anything on the docket tomorrow morning, 7 to 10? Yeah. I know it's fluid. I know. I didn't mean to
between the 3 shows, I'm not sure. Look, we're gonna have Coach Mulkey regardless of where we're at. Like those Tuesdays, those aren't going away. So I know we got Coach Mulkey. I think we got Gojo Mike Golick Jr. maybe tomorrow morning. So that's gonna be fun, and just trying to line up some more guests right now. I am off back to Baton Rouge because we've got the U-High football banquet.
Let's go.
So I'm about to hit the road, get back to Baton Rouge, and go celebrate the season that my oldest son Jackson had there. Got a little varsity time there.
Love it.
As a freshman, he's a giant. So looking forward to seeing what next year brings for him.
They keeping him on the line.
Oh yeah, he loves it.
Oh, he loves it. Okay,
all
right.
Yeah.
I thought he was a little not sure if he wanted to be on the line.
He likes defensive line better than offensive line.
Because I was talking to Katie, and I think she was telling me that like, but dude, you're a giant.
He's 6'2", 240 as a 15-year-old.
Bro,
you're going to be on the line.
Go dominate people, man. That's awesome, man.
Yes. Look, Dad played nose guard till he was a junior, so anything is possible. Okay.
You were never, or you're not 6'2", are you?
No, God, no.
No, like he's already got the
No,
height.
and I don't even have like the Boots Garland joke of me being 6'2" if I stand on my wallet. I'm not that either. Might make 6 foot if that happens.
Oh,
hey,
man.
low man wins, though.
That's
Always
so good.
remember that.
That's so
Always.
good. Dude, I didn't mean to
No,
stop
you're
you. I
good.
just saw you walking by.
I appreciate you, recognizing number 7.
Heck yeah.
But, yeah, next year, top 5, and then eventually Cubes, Mac, we're coming for you.
They're coming after
Yeah.
you. That's
See ya.
right. Later, dude. All right, that's Hester, Catch Jake, and T-Bob. Weekdays, 7 to 10. Really, like, that's such a cool thing for those guys. Because I'm telling you, like, very, very candidly, voting on that, and I really did. Like, I really just didn't want to be a homer. Like, I didn't know if they would, like, take my vote serious if I did that. But I do think they're better than Greg and Cole. And I love Greg and Cole, but I'd put those guys ahead of them. But that is like a really – it was a very tough process because you were given all of this gigantic list of shows and tandems and solos and markets, and it's a ton to consider. And like, there's no doubt that there are I'll tell you, like, there gets to a point where you're like, okay, do I recognize what other shows do I recognize, or where do I have to go do research? So, like, if you're that high, then everyone knows who you are. Like, you're on everybody's list because everyone knows who you are. So that's awesome for those guys to do that, man. So happy for those guys. All right, it's After Further Review. We're here, Radio Row, not SEC. God, I'm going to say this. How many times am I going to do that this week? Radio Row SEC Football Media Days. It's programmed in my brain. We're at Super Bowl 59 Media Day in Radio Row, and excited for that. The opening ceremony of opening night of the NFL tonight over in the Dome. Let me knock out a quick break. We'll come back. I do want to shift gears a smidge because there is an updated mock draft for, well, 2 teams are focused on the Super Bowl this week. Everyone else is focused on what's next for them. So we'll come back. We'll reset the day for the New Orleans Saints perspective because there were 2 really big stories involving the Saints, and we'll get to a new mock draft that's out there from Matt Miller of ESPN. We'll touch on that as we continue. We're live from Radio Row, presented by Low Bears. Our Monday shows, as always, presented by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Stick around. It's AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. Get Gordon and get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. If you've been injured in an accident, it's not your fault. Do what injured people in our state have done for more than 3 decades. Get Gordon and get it done. It's super easy to go to the website or call, whichever you'd prefer. You go to the website, getgordon.com, getgordon.com, or you can call 888-8888, 888-8888. Go to getgordon.com. But more than anything, I think what's most important to know is, like, if you have been in an accident, like, don't go it alone. Don't assume that you're getting what's fair and you're going to move on through it. Like, let someone explain to you your rights. Let someone who's familiar with that process help you. That's why we say get Gordon and get it done. Go to getgordon.com.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Got chores that need some extra muscle, but a large piece of equipment is overkill? That's what John Deere compact utility tractors were made for. Powerful enough for the work you need to do. Compact enough for how you need to do it. Find the equipment that's right for you at Sunshine Quality Solutions. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Savor game day platters and snacks, plus drink specials at 1717 Kitchen and Cocktail. So come out for game day and let our team make you the MVP. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
Parish Construction and Roofing.
This is Coach Kim Mulkey. Go to parishbuilt.com for all of your roofing needs.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and oh yeah, they also do interior shutters. Live from Super Bowl 59 Radio Row in New Orleans. Presented by L'Auberge Casino Hotel Baton Rouge.
He's a great player, a potential future Hall of Famer. He was tremendous at New York, and he had a great year this year with the Eagles. So he's helped them. Especially the rush game, but he can catch the ball. They've got a quarterback that can throw the ball and two wide receivers out there that are tremendous, and a couple tight ends too. So they're fully loaded on the offensive side. But to answer your question, he's been a great addition for him.
It's Andy Reid talking about Saquon Barkley, who I don't even think there's any question is the single biggest difference in the two teams from when they played 2 seasons ago in Super Bowl 57, of course, when the Chiefs rallied and beat the Eagles. Saquon is coming off of is at a 2,000-yard season, where had he chosen to play in Week 18, very likely would have, based on his average yards per game, broken Eric Dickerson's single-season rushing record. Now, we can talk about the fact that he had more games to do it, but then again, Dickerson had more games. He had 16 when O.J. did it and had 14. So that's just how it evolves, and records are made to be broken, and you play more games, and the games change and all that stuff. That's why the adage exists. Records are made to be broken. But, Saquon Barkley undeniably is the biggest differing factor in this game than the game 2 years ago. And what's interesting is Saquon met with reporters and said, this was a funny bite, acknowledged it 2 years ago when he's with the Giants. Obviously, the Giants are in a division with the Eagles. He was not cheering for the Eagles 2 years ago. Give a listen.
Did you watch the Super Bowl 2 years ago?
2 years ago, I watched it on a plane coming back because we left that day. So I didn't see the whole thing, but I got to see a little bit of it.
What were your thoughts and emotions as a Giant watching the Eagles play in the Super Bowl? Were you rooting against them?
Of course I was rooting against them. They knocked us out the playoffs at that time. So, yeah, there's no part of me that wanted the Eagles to win. But, yeah, it's funny to look back at it now, probably how I felt. And, during that time and during that week of the Super Bowl to now being here with a lot of those guys that were part of that team now and, trying to finish the job and get us all a ring.
He'll be a huge part of it. I mean, it's so cliche to talk about the line of scrimmage, the battle in the trenches, and this will be a week full of cliches. But yes, obviously, when you look at a Kansas City defensive front and guys like Chris Jones, their ability to slow or limit in some degree Saquon Barkley is going to be massive. Then again, 2 years ago, Jalen Hurts threw for over 300 yards. Some of that was out of necessity because Philly ran for less than 50 yards in that football game. So it is a who makes the other team fight left-handed will be interesting. But what I do find as we were finishing last hour, I told you that I had someone. Incidentally, it was Derek from. We were just had Jake here. We were talking about Barrett Sports Media. It was Derek from BSM, who he's polling people all over Radio Row, and he was asking different questions like, do you think the broadcast will go over the $125 million from a year ago? What do you think about Tom Brady? And one of the reasons that I think the broadcast, the number will go over is the Chiefs. And the reality is, like, they have turned themselves sort of into the NFL's villains. As soon as Kansas City won the AFC Championship game, my Twitter timeline was flooded. I'm sure like many of yours was with, they've ruined football, they've ruined the Super Bowl. Tom Brady and the Patriots went to 10 Super Bowls. 10. I mean, he won, or I guess he went to 10 because he went with 9 with New England, the one, of course, in Tampa. But it's like he won 7. He went to 10 Super Bowls, man. Like, it is absurd, the level of success that he had in that game and how much the Patriots dominated 2 decades of football in the NFL. But they became interesting. They're always interesting. So it's the same is true with the Kansas City Chiefs. People ask often, why does ESPN always talk about the Dallas Cowboys, the LA Lakers, the Jets? Well, it's because they're interesting. They're in major markets, and love them or hate them, people are interested in them. Like the Jets having an embarrassing season or the Cowboys having a circus of a firing of their coach and hiring of the next is more interesting than whatever might happen in New Orleans. It just is. So for whatever we may think of them or how it's all transpired, the Kansas City Chiefs are interesting. But what's fascinating to me is how that has transitioned from them being likable. Young Patrick Mahomes, this sensational young talent, arguably the best physical talent we've ever seen in the game at quarterback. Arguably, I said. Certainly there be people talking about John Elway or Dan Marino and their arm strength. There's those that would say Aaron Rodgers. But Mahomes has put himself in that conversation. I'm talking about the physical ability. But of course, Andy Reid is about as likable a guy as you could ever come across. But here they are in what is sort of morphed into this feeling like they are the NFL's villains. And Patrick Mahomes was asked about that in the media availability on Sunday.
I try not to listen to it too much. I think more than anything, I just try to embrace who we have in this locker room and the personalities and how we enjoy playing football. And I believe if we play football the right way and we compete and go out there and play our best football, that I'll always have my guys' backs. And so we got a lot of good dudes in this locker room, and all we're going to do is compete and try to win football games.
The most interesting thing to me about this Chiefs team is, and really the last two, is they continue to take away weapons from Mahomes, and they just don't miss a beat. And, I mean, think if Tyreek Hill was on this team. It's pretty fascinating to see, They continue to find different ways to win, and it does remind me a lot of Brady's Patriot teams, where early in his career, New England was so centered around defense under Belichick and playing complementary football, and in sort of the second iteration of Tom Brady's career, it flipped. It's not to say that New England was ever bad on defense, but you started to see Brady have the 4,000-plus yard passing seasons. Of course, they had the record-breaking season in 2007, and that became more of what New England was centered around, was Tom Brady in the offense. And that was a shift from their first repeat when they won the 3 titles in 4 years early in his career to what they were in the second part of his career. And you might be seeing some of that with Mahomes as well, as he's having to do more. And they weren't a dominant football team this year. But, I mean, they lost one game where they actually tried. And they went 15-2 because they lost in Week 18 when they rested everybody. But, I mean, they were a 15-1 football team that would have beaten Denver and been 16-1. despite not really being a dominant team. They just find a way, and that's not a great explanation that anybody wants to hear as you're breaking down a game. We'll have people who know much more about these teams talk to us throughout the week, but that's why it's so hard for me, even though I look on paper and I go, I think Philadelphia is a more talented team than the Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously, you've added Saquon Barkley. That defensive front for Philadelphia has been incredible. Zach Bond is a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. I mean, you got impact players at every level of the defense. Of course, we know C.J. Gardner-Johnson coming back to New Orleans to play in a Super Bowl. But, man, I look and I go, how do you bet against 15? Like, if you're going to give me Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, I'm going to bet on those guys and think that they're going to figure out a way to win it the same way that I just always deferred to Brady and Belichick in these games. And they didn't win them all. I mean, they lost twice to the Giants, and they lost to a backup quarterback in Nick Foles with the Eagles. But you give me 15 in red, more often than not, I think he's going to get it done. That's where I'm leaning this week, is certainly to go with Kansas City. All right, it's after further review. We're here, Radio Row from Super Bowl 59. Our coverage all week presented by L'Auberge. Hey, I want to remind you about Parish Construction and Roofing, parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com. Tell you every day, do business with someone you know. That's me, that's Terrio, that's Rich or Tilly. It's our whole gang over at Parish Construction and Roofing. We'd love to give you that free, no-obligation roofing inspection. And one thing I would really love to stress is we do offer financing. So if you're worried about, I need a roof, but, maybe my insurance claim was denied, and so you have to pay cash. We can help you finance the roof. Maybe your insurance claim was approved, but your deductible is high, and you're having trouble finding the money to pay for that deductible. We can help finance your deductible as well for 0% for 12 months. Let us go through your options. Parish Construction and Roofing. Go to parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com. It starts with that free, no-obligation roofing inspection. That's where you got to start. This costs you nothing. By the way, even if you don't call us, no one should ever charge you for a roof inspection. So if they do, run the other way. But we'll get up there, we'll walk it, mark it, chalk it, and we'll give you a full inspection report with pictures. And if nothing else, that is a piece of data you have on a certain date. So if you do have a weather event, hail, wind, storm, whatever it may be down the line, you'll know, have documented, this is what my roof looked like on this date before the storm. Now here's what it is. That'll help you throughout that entire process. Do business with someone you know. Go to parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com for Parish Construction and Roofing. All right, y'all, it's after further review. And we're glad to have you hanging out with us here on Radio Row. As if you're just maybe knocking off of work here as we move through the 5 o'clock hour, a lot of people at work, maybe heading home right now. This is the time where things have started really to settle as they're getting ready for the opening night event over at the Superdome. So a lot of people here have started to get on shuttle buses and head toward the Superdome. But we roll on here in this 5 o'clock hour. The New Orleans Saints, although they're not playing in the big game, the big game is here in New Orleans. And the Saints did manage to find their way into the headlines today. They're the only team remaining that has not yet hired a head coach. And Adam Schefter was on the McAfee show earlier today. For those who have missed this, Schefter did disclose what many are anticipating, that is that Kellen Moore will be the next coach of the Saints.
The head of the Saints organization, Mickey Loomis, is going to do everything in his power when it comes to this coaching hire to follow the rules and go by the book and not talk to Kellen Moore until after the Super Bowl. Could it break down and they not reach an agreement? Sure. Is that likely? No. Kellen Moore is going to have a chance to probably triple his salary, become a head coach, one of 32. And if the Saints were making any other move, whether it was hiring the Dolphins defensive coordinator Anthony Weaver or the Giants offensive coordinator Mike Kafka, or their own interim head coach, what are they waiting for? Why not go hire them right now? But they're not. They're waiting. Barring a setback, he's going to be the guy.
And I don't think that should surprise anyone, the one thing that sort of turns that on its head is, I shouldn't say turn it on its head, is the report from late last week, which was that the Saints were looking to talk to Kellen Moore again, and that they had not yet advised any of their candidates that they were out of the running or that they had made a decision. That suggested that they hadn't reached this conclusion as well. Whether they have now or not remains to be seen. Ross Jackson was with us earlier, opined that a lot of those reports came from people within NFL media, and so maybe they have to play it a little closer to the vest as opposed to someone from an outside source like Schefter with ESPN. That could be a little more speculative. But for whatever the reason, ultimately, if Schefter says that's the way it's going to go, I believe Schefter is as credible as they come in the NFL. So looks like Kellen Moore will, in fact, be the guy. Moore will have an opportunity to speak to reporters today, this evening, over at the NFL opening night. So we'll see if we do hear anything from Kellen Moore about the New Orleans Saints and how this whole process has come together. So we will continue to wait and see, and hopefully about this time next week we'll have an answer on the New Orleans Saints and Kellen Moore. All right, it's After Further Review. Our Monday shows are brought to you by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. We will knock out a quick break. As we mentioned, Matt Miller over at ESPN has a new mock draft up. I want to run through that as every other team in the NFL. The other 30 teams in the NFL are all looking ahead to the offseason and to the NFL draft and free agency, while the Eagles and Chiefs are preparing for Super Bowl 59. We'll look ahead to that mock draft and tell you what the latest is as we continue on AFR from Radio Row.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. 752-0001, 752-0001. Or 1hourbr.com. You can spell it out, O-N-E, 1hourbr.com. It's crazy that 2 weeks ago there was snow on the ground, and right now we were just up at 81 degrees. As we sit right now, it is 78 degrees. So you're probably cranking up the AC in your home. Whether it's an issue with your AC or your heater, you want River City's 1 Hour Air because you want the best. You don't have to take my word for it. Go read the reviews. Not many people encourage you to read reviews. At River City's 1 Hour Air, they encourage you staunchly to do it because they have more than double the amount of 5-star reviews of the next closest competitor. That's what happens when for 40 years you've been servicing a community with a sterling reputation. It's River City's 1 Hour Air. Look for the big yellow vans and trucks with the giant clock on the side. River City's 1 Hour Air, 752-0001.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief: our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep.
after further review. Presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and oh yeah, they also do interior shutters. Live from Super Bowl 59 Radio Row in New Orleans. Presented by L'Auberge Casino Hotel Baton Rouge.
Rolling along here in hour number 3, we get to Otterlocks. By the way, Otterlocks is posted up at LouisianaSports.net. If you want it now, you can get it now for free, always over at LouisianaSports.net. Tons of good coverage up as well on the website. Ross had everything covered today from the Kellen Moore news. And then the latest on the Saints church scandal. I'm using that phrasing admittedly loosely, and I'm tap dancing and trying not to be I don't want to be dismissive, but I also don't want to be too accusatory. But if you haven't heard the story or know, this dates back to 2019, where there was a child abuse scandal within the Archdiocese of New Orleans, and Gail Benson has befriended the Archbishop there. She's a very devout Catholic, and there were allegations that members of the Saints organization, including Gail Benson and Dennis Lauscha and Greg Bensel, who's the communications director, all aided the church in how to address the scandal. I think, and the Saints' position has been that it was relatively benign. It was just they were giving advice while they find the allegations abhorrent. They were giving advice on how to and as they sort of put it, very dismissive, very minimal advice on how to navigate that from a public relations standpoint. But there were more than 200 emails released today that suggest that the Saints and Mrs. Benson and Dennis Lauscha and Greg Bensel's involvement might have been more than just limited. And that is the part that I think has drawn the ire of a lot of people today. I also don't find it coincidental whatsoever that story dropped on Monday of Super Bowl week. At the height of awareness in the NFL and everything going on. But Roger Goodell was asked about it earlier today. He effectively gave a no comment without saying no comment. But that is one that we're certainly going to have to keep an eye on. All right, it is after further review. As we're here in the epicenter of the NFL world and everybody's getting ready for the Super Bowl, I look directly across from where I'm sitting at my 11 o'clock. And there was a makeshift facade of Lambeau Field and a giant Visit Pittsburgh display, as both of those are the next two hosts for the NFL Draft. Lambeau coming up this year in April, and Pittsburgh next year in April, where the next two NFL Drafts will be. And they're certainly here to encourage media to come to their event, to cover their event in their cities. Well, of course, this year's NFL Draft in Green Bay coming up in April. They're just outside of Lambeau Field. And Matt Miller over at ESPN, after the Senior Bowl, has released his newest mock draft. And he's got Abdul Carter from Penn State going number 1 overall to Tennessee, with Travis Hunter 2 to the Cleveland Browns. This on the heels of Myles Garrett requesting a trade from the Cleveland Browns. I don't know that he'll get it, but he could certainly hold out. But the Browns aren't obligated to trade him. We'll see what happens. Cam Ward, number 3 to the Giants. Mason Graham, the defensive tackle from the Patriots, from Michigan, number 4 to the Patriots. Interestingly enough, Will Johnson, the cornerback from Michigan, 5 to Jacksonville. Shadur Sanders, 6 to Las Vegas. And then Will Campbell from LSU, number 7 to the New York Jets. And interestingly, a year ago, the Jets drafted Olu Fashanu out of Penn State, so they took an offensive tackle with the 11th pick a year ago. So this would have them going back-to-back offensive tackles in the draft, but they do list Campbell as an offensive tackle / guard. And I share this with you, and I'm giving the hat tip to Shea Dixon because he was the first that put it on my radar that there are, and this is something we're going to hear more and more, there are NFL scouts who think Will Campbell does not have long enough arms to play tackle in the NFL. I'm not saying I believe it. I'm not saying it's legit. Well, as they say, the eye in the sky don't lie. That's a guy that was a 3-year starter at left tackle in the SEC and was a dominant player. But it's something to the effect of, if he were to be a first-round draft pick, he would be like the first guy in 30 years or whatever with arms that length to go first. Anyway, there's belief by some in the NFL that Campbell could end up playing guard in the NFL. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying file it away because you're going to hear that more and more. Matt Miller does have the Saints going with Tetoro McMillan, the receiver from Arizona, at number 9. And he's a 6'5" freak show. I would be totally fine with this. You got to get a true dominant number 1 receiver. I don't know that is the Saints' single biggest need, but when you are a team, a roster that needs everything, then I am okay with essentially anything you would do here, except I've seen some mock drafts that have the Saints taking Ashton Jeanty at 9. And I want to be clear, this is not to be dismissive of Ashton Jeanty. I think he is a fantastic football player. But I think we would all agree, every one of us, that the running back position has been devalued in the NFL. And I fully understand we just spent time talking about how Saquon Barkley is the biggest difference between the Eagles now and what they were 2 years ago, and he is an exceptional talent. And it is possible that Ashton Jeanty becomes that in his NFL career. And I hope that for him, unless he goes to the Falcons. But when I look at how you're trying to build a team in an organization like the Saints right now, where you still have Alvin Kamara under contract, and you need a starting left guard at minimum on your offensive line, a starting left guard. You certainly need tight end help. You absolutely need receiver help, as was illustrated that after the first 2 guys you have in Olave and Rashid Shaheed, you have nothing. I mean, your leading receiver this year ended up being Juwan Johnson, who's a tight end who we all agreed underperformed this year. Now, part of that was all the injuries you had throughout, but it goes to show you, you do not have enough dynamic playmakers. So, yes, receiver. Flip it over to the other side of the ball. You were bottom 5 in the NFL in sacks. You were bottom 5 in the NFL in run defense. So you need impact guys in your defensive front 7. There's a giant question of what you do with Paulson Adebo at corner. You drafted Kool-Aid McKinstry a year ago. You still got Alontae Taylor, but are you able to re-sign Paulson Adebo? Do you want to re-sign Paulson Adebo? You certainly need help at cornerback. Why Will Johnson from Michigan is someone you're seeing in a lot of mock drafts. And my goodness, do you need help at safety? I mean, Tyron is certainly at the end of his career. And I don't know that you have a true number 2 safety, unless if you decide to play Alontae Taylor at safety. And if you do that, that opens up more of a necessity for cornerback. All that to say, I know that's a very long-winded way of saying, if the Saints end up going with McMillan out of Arizona at 9, I'm fine with it. Literally the one position. And if they drafted a quarterback at 9, if they, let's say Shadur is there or Cam Ward is there, and they're bullish on one of those guys at 9, I'm fine with it. I would love it. Honestly, I would love for them to be bullish on a quarterback and think they're drafting their future. I don't think that's going to happen, but I just think you have so many needs that the world will be the Saints' oyster at 9. They will have the option to pick darn near any position, a great talent in the top 10 at any position. It would just be very hard to justify selecting a running back at 9 when, if, for example, you were the Eagles, where Saquon Barkley was the thing, was the piece that got your offense over the hump, adding that dynamic of a player to an offense that already included Jalen Hurts, who can beat you with his arm or his legs, and you already had Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown on the outside. Then I look and go, that makes a lot of sense for Philly. For the New Orleans Saints, where you already have Alvin Kamara still under contract, and a team that's not going to be any good, why are you drafting a running back? I need core foundational building blocks, especially when you talk about the lifespan of an NFL running back shrinking. Would you even be good while that player is in their prime? There may be some team picking in the top 10 where it would make a lot of sense to take Ashton Jeanty. I just don't think that team is New Orleans. So we'll inch closer, and there'll be plenty more mock drafts and lots of thoughts about it. But Matt Miller's latest mock draft has the Saints at 9 taking Tetoro McMillan, the wide receiver out of Arizona. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this. one of the coolest things this entire weekend was what happened in the Senior Bowl. If you weren't watching the Senior Bowl, and I understand maybe as much as we cover this, we send Jake and T-Bob, we cover the Senior Bowl. Many people maybe don't watch the game itself, which is fine, but you've probably seen the play now on social media or somewhere. But Jack Besh, exactly 1 month after losing his brother in the tragic attack on Bourbon Street on New Year's Day, exactly 1 month, February the 1st, exactly 1 month after, Jack Besh scored the game-winning touchdown in the Senior Bowl. He was lined up as the H-back on the left side. He dragged across the line, caught the ball, got into the end zone as time expired to win the game. Was also named the game's MVP, 6 receptions, 68 yards, and the game-winning touchdown. It was a pretty incredible moment to see, and I think anybody with blood in their veins and air in their lungs could look at that and be moved and touched by that. After the game, Jack Besh was asked about all of the support that he received all week in Mobile for the Senior Bowl.
It's been surreal just to be able to come and take place in this game. It's a goal you set for yourself, but if I had the option that if I came here, had the worst week ever, ruined my draft stock, but that means I could give my brother a hug right now, I would take that, but on the flip side of that, I don't think I could have had the week that I had if all that wouldn't have happened. So like I said, his wings were on my side, and him and Jesus Christ are the reasons that I was able to do all of this.
Amazing maturity and just a really, really good young guy, man. We're all pulling for Jack Besh, a young guy who we've seen grow up. I remember having Jack on the show when he committed to LSU, when he was a student at St. Thomas More in Lafayette. He was a Vanderbilt commit who flipped. And throughout his time at LSU, he continued to come on the show, and he's been really good to us with his time over the years. He stopped by with Hester and T-Bob and Rivers at the Senior Bowl last week, and just he's such an easy guy to pull for because he's just such a genuinely good guy. Now dealing with the tragedy he did to have that moment was awesome to see. So congrats to Jack Besh. For what it's worth, Pro Football Focus has Besh in the top 60 overall prospects in the draft. So might be a guy that climbs his way as an early day 2 pick. Would be awesome to see it for him. All right, it's After Further Review, brought to you by South Point Volkswagen and SouthPointVW.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at SouthPointVW.com. When I get out of here, going to the parking garage, getting in my Volkswagen Atlas Crossport, going to take it on back to Baton Rouge. Y'all, look, man, no matter what type of vehicle you're looking for, if it's the Atlas Crossport, the Atlas, which is the 3-row 7-seater family SUV, maybe the Jetta, which is the compact sedan, still 4-door with tons of legroom. No matter what type of vehicle you're looking for, they'll find it over at South Point Volkswagen. You'll get great price. You get the great German engineering, all the different safety picks, the 9 IIHS top safety picks, and, of course, great value and manufactured right here in the U.S. of A. at their Chattanooga, Tennessee plant. South Point Volkswagen, what's your direction? Okay, final break of the show. We'll knock out this final break. We'll come back, wrap it up with Otterlocks, find out what we're betting on tonight. Jimmy's up next as we put a button here on day 1 from Radio Row at Super Bowl 59, presented by L'Auberge Baton Rouge.
After Further Review.
Glow Resources, complete employer solutions. Hey, if you're a business owner and you've noticed, I really want to hammer down a business owner, HR manager, ops manager, hiring manager, whatever that role is. If you're the decision maker in your company and you struggle to find the right people, listen, there's no sense in having like foolish pride, right? Like, oh, I could find the right person. If you're struggling to find that person, lean on a business whose operational existence is to help you find the right people. That's Glow Resources. They have the resources to find the right people for your job. Skilled blue-collar labor, or, of course, if it's their professional placement division, they can help. It's Glow Resources. GLO, glowresources.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
There it is, the extra mile.
on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Got chores that need some extra muscle, but a large piece of equipment is overkill? That's what John Deere compact utility tractors were made for. Powerful enough for the work you need to do. Compact enough for how you need to do it. Find the equipment that's right for you at Sunshine Quality Solutions. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Wall-to-wall TVs mean you'll see every touchdown in HD. Place your bets and...
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and oh yeah, they also do interior shutters. Live from Super Bowl 59 Radio Row in New Orleans. Presented by Low Barish Casino Hotel, Baton Rouge.
Down the stretch, we come final segment here on this Monday edition of AFR. Big shout out, as always, to Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Windows, doors, siding. Oh, yeah, they do shutters as well. Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Let's find out what we're betting on tonight. Time for Auto Locks.
Auto Locks.
All right, time to win some money.
Presented by Lofton Staffing Services. At Lofton, we put people to work. Call us today at 924-0200 or go to lofton.jobs.
I think it's safe to say that I won the bet.
Otter, how are you?
What's up, Matt? How about you?
Man, a good day here. It's your first day on Radio Row. Interesting to watch how it all played out. Scuttlebutt here is like Wednesday is when we should really start to see everything ramp up. So excited about it, though, man. We're kind of in the epicenter of football, which is fun to see.
There you go. There you go. Busy weekend in college basketball and some wild games, man, to say the least. I mean, you had a lot of games. I mean, Kansas State, 15-point underdog, goes to Ames, Iowa, and beats Iowa State by 20. I mean, you had Oklahoma down 13 to Vanderbilt, wins by 30. I mean, the Kentucky, of course, loses, at home as double-digit favorite. So, I mean, a lot of surprises, man, in college basketball this past weekend. And the one constant is Auburn and Alabama just keep on rolling in the SEC. Of course, they have to play home and home with each other a little bit later on. Duke, North Carolina, not even competitive. So it's a not very, very thin schedule tonight. Right. You've got Pitt and Virginia early. That's kind of we had Wake Forest minus 1.5. They won. Hopefully you get the 1.5 because of the Pitt hit a 3-pointer at the buzzer to cut the lead from 5 to 2. But they host Virginia. We're laying off of that one. That's 13 points. But the late one is Kansas and Iowa State. And Kansas is one of those teams. Kansas gave up 60 points in the second half to Baylor. Twice in the first half. In the second half, they had double-digit leads, were unable to hold on. Iowa State came back home. We know about that. That was sort of their exhale spot. That's the biggest favorite they'll be all season at home against Kansas State. I'm looking for Iowa State to bounce back. They won at Tempe against Arizona State in the Arizona swing in the Big 12, and then had Arizona beat in a three-quarter shot by Caleb Love, put it in overtime, and they lost on that one. But this is a game that they've kind of been focused in on at Fog Allen. Preseason number 1 Kansas just hasn't improved over the course of the season. So I'm going to take Iowa State plus the 3 tonight.
Iowa State plus 3 is your Otter lock for tonight. Where are you tomorrow, Otter?
We're at Dozy Place on Government Street in the heart of Mid-City.
Awesome, man. Great spot. We appreciate it, Otter. Good luck tonight. We'll talk tomorrow.
All right, good luck.
All right, be well. We are brought to you by Supper Club, supperclubBTR.com for your reservations. Y'all, a week from Friday is Valentine's Day. A week from Friday is Valentine's Day. They're booked solid for Valentine's Day, so you're not getting it. But Thursday and Saturday, still some seating available, so if you want to get your reservation, you could do so. SupperClubBTR.com. They always do the extras as well. You have the best meal, the best environment, but you want flowers at the table for her waiting, they can do that. You want the custom drink toppers, they can do that. You just set them in advance, a PDF file of the photo you want. It could be your drink topper. They do all the extras that make sure you have the best dining experience ever. SupperClubBTR.com. SupperClubBTR.com for Supper Club. All right, y'all, that's going to do it for us here from day one, Radio Row. Really good day for Hester and T-Bob, for Hunt Palmer in the midday, for Rivers Huey, Cade Wazan, Bo Wegman, Alondra Villarreal, Jordan Kitchens was here, Max Gotro was here. God, we had tons of people here. Muse Pauly back in studio. Thanks. We'll see you tomorrow at 3.
After further review.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
When you can't rely on technology, you can rely on Mountain Cold Refreshment.
Dave's back on.
Coors Light. Choose chill.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.